Hiya, hello. Hiya, hiya. Hello. Welcome, welcome, Lily pals. Hello. Are y'all ready to read? Are y'all ready to access some forbidden knowledge? I sure am. Could have been a hot minute before, or since I touched on some SCPs. Come get cozy and comfy as I read off some very weird, anomalous, potentially horrifying or hilarious phenomenon. Also, just for the benefit of any Lily pals who tuned in last night, I did get the fake mon finished up. They're all colored in. The mermote, I drew the alternate forms that I had in the creation segment of my brainscape. Nothing is more horrifying than Judge Cannon's decision. Well, that's the funny thing. SCP is one where there are several, well, it depends on interpretation. There are either several Judge Cannons all at once, or there are no Judge Cannons. Anywho, all the fake mon got colored up. I colored up the floofs. I only drew the heads for the mermote alt forms, because that's all I needed to do. I gave them shiny palettes. They're all finished up, and a little bit before stream I was honestly getting started on another, but right now I got a stream to do. I have forbidden top secret knowledge to access and share with all of you, to provide to the people, or at least the Lily pals. Here we are. But before we can pursue further enlightenment, it is very important to take hold of our trusty stream froggies. Right there and there. These are surprise frogs that will help us later. And unlike the way I usually do things, I already found an article I want to start out with, and it's pretty simply just the first article that was featured on the front page. We have the usual warning stuffs. Starting with SCP-6764. Object class Safe. Disruption class Vlam. Risk class Notice. At some point I need to memorize, like... Well, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's easily contained. It seems only mildly disruptive to the status quo. And it's very low risk. But let's have a look anyway. Okay. Special containment procedures. As a method of physical containment for SCP-6764 has yet to be developed, containment efforts are instead focused on the continued tracking of the entity's correspondences. Communications with SCP-6764 are to be transcribed with individuals involved and amnesticized. Description: SCP-6764 is an entity who communicates via textual digital outlets, primarily short messaging services such as personal text components in English-speaking countries. The phone number by which SCP-6764 uses to contact an individual varies with each instance, and investigation shows that these numbers exist and can be linked to ordinary individuals. Despite this, SCP-6764 will always refer to the number as belonging to itself. There are no discernible patterns related to SCP-6764 contact events, and the entity has been shown to be able to communicate in locations with little or no internet connection at ordinary speeds. SCP-6764 self-identifies as Madeline, or Maddie, an adult female of unknown age and ethnicity who claims to be located in an area near the individual it is contacting, though a physical presence has yet to be observed. Upon initiating contact, SCP-6764 will explain to the individual that it is inconvenienced, lost, hurt, or stuck and requires assistance. SCP-6764 will then, regardless of whether or not the individual has chosen to continue contact with the entity, request said assistance. Should an individual continue contact with SCP-6764, the entity will attempt to guide them to its location. This will, if followed, result in the individual's death, the cause of which varies depending on the context of the encounter and the surrounding environment. However, a lack of engagement by the individual or recognition of the obvious danger that would result from following through with SCP-6764's requests usually precludes this. It looks like it links to a tale. Oh, also before I forget, where is it? Is it? Ah! It's hiding! Hiding behind Jay's froggy butt. Let me move this aside a little bit. I probably could have done that before, but so it's calling the dumb. Good for it. Okay. Just a little disclaimer, I will only intermittently be able to see and access chat. Okay. Addendum 6764.1 Communication with SCP-6764. The following are transcripts of communication logs with SCP-6764 sourced from various encounters. Event 6764.24 recovered from the phone of Derek Gerald, a student at the University of North Carolina. Yo, it's Maddie from Chem class. Got a question about the exam Wednesday. Sure, what's up? I missed a few classes. You willing to share those notes, or am I gonna be shit out of luck? No problem, I'll send them over. Oh no, I can't read pictures. My eyesight is so bad, man, LeMayo. I'm actually in Clarence Hall if you want to come to my room so I could copy them. Okay, I'll be over. What floor? Third, but can you jump out your window for me? I'd really appreciate it, dude. Huh? Like, out your window. We'll be able to talk in person if you do that. Just open the window and take a leap. Who is this? Maddie, from Chem. Fuck off, lol. Okay, I was just messing around. I'm actually down your drain. You need to turn the water on and keep it running until you pass out. Or bash your head in with that laptop. Or stab yourself with a pencil. Any of those will do, really. Come on. Please? I'm not a ghost. Yo, fuck you, dude. Okay. Hey, how'd you do on the exam? Event 6764.56, recovered from the phone of Chad Smithson. Received while on a hunting excursion in the Saskatchewan wilderness. Hi! Hi? It's Maddie. I'm lost in the woods and I need help. How are you texting me? Who are you? I was taking a hike and I'm lost. I think there's ghosts here and I'm really scared, so can you come down from the tree and help me, please? I hate ghosts. It's so cold. Brrr. What the fuck? Ghosts are so scary. I need help and I don't know where I am. Where are you? Huh? Okay, do you see your rifle? Yeah. Look down the barrel. Looking. Pull the trigger! No. But I'm lost. If this is a joke, I seriously don't find it funny, and I'd appreciate if you stopped before I call the police. You don't have cell service. The ghosts are getting closer! Ah! I'm blocking your number. Whatever, cunt. Oh my god. Event 6764.102. Recovered from the phone of New York resident Barry White, age 89. Cute ghost girl in your area, looking for company to spend the rest of eternity with. I've been haunting you, and I'm interested in the next step. Want to summon me? Pick the knife up and see where it takes you. Grandson? Event 6764.155. Recovered from the phone of Pennsylvania resident Rebecca Kirisame? Toho reference in my wild? Rebecca? Yep. Who's this? It's Maddie. I need help right now if you're not busy. I twisted my ankle and I think it's broken. Are you sure you have the right number? Yeah, I'm in your basement actually. I hurt my leg so bad, dude. Ouch, ouch, fuck, fuck, fuck. LeMayo. LeMayo. Where in my basement? By the sump pump. Inside the sump pump. Yeah? You're inside the sump pump? Yeah, and there's ghosts in here, so can you come down quick? I'm scared, dude. Lifts you from the sump pump. There you go, my sweet. I'm not joking. Can you come down, please? Alright, this is getting old. Whatever, the ghosts already got me. You missed your chance. I'm already dead. Hot. What did you mean by that? Rebecca, I'm trapped in your ceiling fan. Could you look up there while it's turned on? Please turn it on. Make sure it's turned on and get me out. Would you prefer if I were dead? Hello? Step bro, it's Maddie. I'm stuck in the dryer. Can you come in here and help me? Event 6764.177. Recovered from the phone of John Gordon, who was working at his job as a supervising manager at a construction site. Yo, I'm just gonna cut to the chase. Wanna die for me? Hoy! Yes, that sounds lovely. Whoa. Wow. Okay. You're at work right now, yeah? Hi, miss. Can you, like, jump into the cement mixer on the floor below you? It's kind of lonely over here, and I'd really appreciate it a lot. What Dow look like? What do you look like? Cute anime ghost girl, a drawing that got 45,000 likes on twitter.com. Okay! Holy fuck. Wait, no. Wait, no, can undo this. You do not look as good. You do not look as good in person. Wow. Event 6764.178. Recovered from the phone of Sarah Halcon, a Wyoming college student. Sarah, girl, hi! Could you come help me, please? I'm losing my mind being trapped with this guy. Hi, Jenny, lol. Yeah, it's Jenny, lol. Crash your car for me, bestie? Or just keep texting while driving, that'll work. Oh, are we getting new ghosty friends? They're... Hi, miss. Oh my fucking god, go away! Following Gordon's death and manifestation as an entity similar to SCP-6764, a change in the anomaly's behavior and targeted subjects has been noted. Event 6764.179. Recovered from the phone of Marshall Green, a Catholic priest located in Cleveland, Ohio. Event occurred one day after Gordon's death. Hi, you probably don't get upfront requests like this, but I'm either a ghost or a demon or whatever's going to get you to act immediately, and I need you to exercise your surrounding area right now. I cannot fucking take this guy anymore. He sucks. Who is this? Oh, hi, I'm here too. Hello, miss. Since this event, SCP-6764 has exclusively contacted individuals capable of performing exorcisms. And of course we got a little visual representation. Cute. Look! Not a ghost! It's haunted by a dumb guy. A dumb, horny guy. You reap what you sow, I guess. Okay. Let's go random, baby. 4334. With a rating of 95. What was the rating for 6764? 444. Very nice. Okay, well, now I lost 4334. We can come back after this one. If there's a particular demand for it. Okay. Same generation. SCP-6245. Containment class Esoteric. Secondary class Archon. So I think the Esoteric class just means like its containment measures are not really well understood, I think. And then secondary class Archon. I don't quite remember what that entails. Minor disruption, low risk. Okay. SCP-6245. Special containment procedures. In order to suppress the true nature surrounding SCP-6245, a staff member is to be assigned to her on the night of October 31st for the sake of trick-or-treating. A list of cover stories has been formed in order to answer queries civilians may give regarding SCP-6245's history. In addition, the anomaly is to be provided confectionaries in order to comply with Foundation staff. The sweets should be stored in Site-169's mess hall. SCP-6245 mostly prefers chocolatey goods. Description: SCP-6245 designates an intangible humanoid entity draped over by a bedsheet. Standing at a height of about 1.4 meters, she identifies herself as 12-year-old Sammy O'Brien. Kinda getting on a ghostly trend right off the bat. The specimen manifests in the area of Prescott Valley from 7:30 to 9 p.m. every Halloween night. She is capable of instantly transporting herself to different locations, though has only utilized this ability when trick-or-treating, teleporting to various homes throughout the settlement. It is unclear whether SCP-6245 is able to travel beyond the area immediately surrounding Prescott Valley. So what does this think? Leads to another tale. Okay. SCP-6245 was initially believed to be a folklore myth spread throughout the city, eventually gaining the title Sweet Tooth Sammy. Civilians claim to have spoken with the entity, though, due to the lack of... Civilians have claimed to have spoken with the entity, though due to the lack of evidence corroborating their statements, it was simply considered a mere hoax. This was the case until the events of Addendum 1. Investigation into SCP-6245's background have been inconclusive. Per order of the Anomalous Entity Engagement Division, or AEED, interviews with SCP-6245 have been discontinued. See Addendum 2 for more details. Addendum 1, Discovery Log. SCP-6245 was initially encountered on the night of October 31st, 2022, when she transported herself to Site-169's entrance. The following is a transcript detailing the events that transpired. Begin log. Footage was taken by the site's entrance. Mayfield exits the facility, waving goodbye to her colleagues. A Halloween party was being held at the playground at the time. Right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one. She stops by the front door as she takes out her mobile device. Wonder how Marcel's holding up. That's another tale. As she browses through her phone, SCP-6245 manifests and approaches Mayfield without her noticing. Hello, excuse me, miss? Mayfield looks up to see the specimen. Huh? What the? Sammy holds her pumpkin-shaped bucket up to Mayfield's face, startling her. Trick or treat! Trick or treat! Give Sammy some sweets to eat! Mayfield takes a step back, looking at her surroundings. How did you get here? You wouldn't believe me, but I teleported here. SCP-6245 raises both arms in the air. Mayfield notices how translucent they are and squints. Hold on, are you... Mayfield stares at the anomaly for a brief moment. Are you the Sammy? Sweet Tooth Sammy? The ghost going around trick-or-treating at that nearby town? Sammy averts her eyes from Mayfield. Oh no, are you one of those people? Mayfield raises an eyebrow. Pardon? The entity crosses her arms. You know, those people who kept asking about how I died and stuff. I don't like it when they do that. No, don't worry. I won't ask you any questions. I just didn't realize you actually exist. We thought you were just a rumor. Well, look at me, miss. I'm right here. I can see that. So, are you gonna get me some candy, please? Right. Just give me a moment, real quick. I'll be back. Mayfield re-enters the building. Footage was taken from the reception room. Mayfield enters the area and hurriedly approaches the bowl of sweets resting atop the desk. Dr. Kirby Case is seated behind the desk and raises an eyebrow at her. I thought you were going home for the night, Melissa. Did you want a quick bite before heading off? Yes. Well, how do I explain this? Do you remember that one investigation a few months back? The one about Sweet Tooth Sammy? Don't tell me. She's standing in front of the entrance as we speak. You can check the feed if you're not convinced. Case briefly checks the footage on their laptop, then laughs. Here I thought it was a myth. 3 months of research just for her to waltz over here. Case gestures to the bowl. You know what? Just take the entire bowl. I'm sure Sammy would love that. In exchange, though, do me a favor and keep her from causing any more problems, alright? We have to uphold the veil after all. Oh, thanks. You can count on me, Kirby. Good luck. Mayfield takes the bowl and hurries out the front door. Footage was taken by the site's entrance. Mayfield returns to SCP-6245 with a bowl of candy in her arms. Here you go. Sorry for the delay. She pours the sweets into the container. SCP-6245 gasps. Oh my gosh, this is amazing! So much candy! Yep, and there's more where that came from. Once Mayfield is finished, Sammy checks the contents of her bucket. There's Skittles, Twizzlers, gummy bears, lollipops, and... SCP-6245 pauses and stares at Mayfield. Reese's Cup? You like Reese's Cup? Like it! I love it! I love all kinds of chocolate candy. Only the sweet ones, though. The entity hops repeatedly. This is the best Halloween ever! Thank you, miss! Thank you so much! No problem, Sammy. In fact, didn't you say you weren't... or... Don't you said... Didn't you say you weren't okay with those people over in town questioning... Or, in fact, you said you weren't okay with those people over in town questioning you, right? Grammar. Nods. Mm-hmm. Well, starting next year, how about I accompany you while you're trick-or-treating? You know, to keep them from asking you anything. Really? You'd do that for me? Absolutely. As a bonus, I can even get you all the candy you want. Even the chocolate? Especially the chocolate. All for you. What do you say? Yes, yes, 1,000,000 times yes! SCP-6245 goes and briefly embraces Mayfield, laughing. This startles her once again. The specimen then takes a step back, gripping her container with both hands. Okay, I'll see you next year then. I'll be waiting. The entity walks off. The two wave at each other. Bye-bye, miss. Thank you again. Good night. Sammy demanifests. A short moment of silence passes. She seemed like a nice kid. End log. After this interaction, Sammy O'Brien was officially classified as an SCP object. subsequently being designated SCP-6245 during documentation.
Hello, CCT! Yes, it is Froggy.
I too want chocolate. I want chocolate too. Lady, just give the kid candy. Love Reese's. Fuck it, I would go trick-or-treating with an SCP. Hell yeah. Okay. Addendum 2, Contextualization. Below is a file that was forwarded to the rest of Site-169 staff in order to spread awareness of SCP-6245's nature. SCP Foundation, Secure, Contain, Protect. File context. Sweet Tooth Sammy, written by Dr. Melissa Mayfield. If you've been around town, you might have heard about this one rumor going around about some girl under a ghost sheet, trick-or-treating at random houses every Halloween night. This myth, eventually titled Sweet Tooth Sammy, led to conspiracy upon conspiracy of what her history was like. Since no one has ever claimed to have met Sammy outside of October 31st, as well as how many homes she can go to in a short period of time, it was a matter of time until some civilians came to think that an actual ghost was hiding underneath that sheet. A popular topic many have speculated on is how she died in the first place and ended up haunting the streets of Prescott Valley. Some have stated it was nothing to behold, such as natural causes or an unfortunate accident. Others have theorized more tragic fates for a girl like Sammy, such as a homicide or something even worse. Of course, people would be more attracted to how interesting the latter would be. Thus, the rabbit hole deepens. From the brief conversations I had with Sammy, I can tell that she was just a young girl wanting to get some candy since it's Halloween. She would often relay some of the most odd questions regarding her death from strangers she's not even familiar with. While Sammy does not want to discuss her past, I'm sure she was as normal as any other girl her age, and that I shouldn't look into it too much. With that said, I hope you know when to stop while talking to someone like Sammy. If you feel you are making them uncomfortable, then pull back. They're not willing to tell you everything about themselves, no matter how acquainted you are. Sometimes it's best not to question it and give the girl her candy. You should be glad it isn't some murder monster out to kill you. It's just an innocent and spectral child trick-or-treating. And this leads to another SCP. Yeah, Dr. Melissa Mayfield, Site Counselor, Site 169, Anomalous Entity Engagement Division. Cool. Got 2 ghosties in a row. Probably one that will murder you. Okay, it's 6096, still in the same generation. This is... I'm pretty sure this would be generation 7. So here, right? Yep. Okay. I'm gonna put this one on hold. I'm gonna go to generation 5 for a little excursion. 4334 with a rating of 95. I think I said that before. SCP-4334. Object Class: Safe. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-4334 is to be indefinitely closed to the public. The former park office, located at the entrance to SCP-4334, has been converted into a provisional Site-133 for the purpose of housing research and security personnel. Security cameras have been stationed around the perimeter of SCP-4334. Site-133 personnel are to administer Class A amnestics to any civilians attempting to trespass within SCP-4334. The Anomalous Communications Scrambling Network, or ACSN, is to be utilized in intercepting and deleting messages sent by SCP-4334-1. Description: SCP-4334 designates the 3.4 kilometer square area of forest within Oakwood State Park, Connecticut. SCP-4334 exhibits multiple anomalous properties and phenomena which began manifesting on it's either April 7th or July 4th, 2016. The following is a list of observed anomalous features. Approximately 75% of trees within SCP-4334 exhibit wooden growths resembling Type B electrical outlets. These growths are functional and emit between 100 and 127 volts of electricity. The entirety of SCP-4334 emits Wi-Fi signals with no discernible source. The Wi-Fi network is named Nature is Cool and does not require a password to access. At night, music can be heard within SCP-4334 with no discernible source. This music mostly consists of songs that are popular at the time, with a heavily amplified bass line. Fireflies can be found within SCP-4334 during the entirety of the year, despite typically requiring temperatures in excess of 15 degrees Celsius to become active. Whenever music is played within SCP-4334, either by a human or through SCP-4334's previously stated property, these fireflies will form large clusters on tree branches and emit bioluminescence in a synchronized manner in time with the beat of the music. SCP-4334-1 is the email account natureiscool@gmail.com. It actually leads to that email address. SCP-4334-1 has no known affiliation with the former Oakwood State Park staff or the Connecticut Department of Forestry and Conservation. SCP-4334-1 sends monthly emails to every individual under the age of 18 within a 5-kilometer radius of SCP-4334. These messages detail multiple characteristics of SCP-4334, both anomalous and otherwise, and appear to be attempts to garner interest in SCP-4334 within the recipient population. This behavior has continued even after the enactment of SCP-4334's containment procedures. It is thus presumed that the entity behind SCP-4334-1 is unaware of Foundation interference. And this is how Fireflies by Owl City is written. I had the exact same thought. Addendum 4334.1 Discovery. SCP-4334 was discovered on, again, it's either April 10th or October 4th, 2016, by Foundation personnel planted within the National Park Service. It's probably April 10th. In the months following the enactment of containment procedures, several adolescent civilians attempted to enter SCP-4334. Upon questioning, each individual displayed partial knowledge of SCP-4334's anomalous properties, and cited emails they had received as the source of the information. This led to the discovery of SCP-4334-1. All civilians were treated with Class A amnestics and released. Addendum 4334.2 Notable SCP-4334-1 transcripts. The following is a partial list of emails sent by SCP-4334-1. Please see Supplemental Document 4334-A for a full list of all archived emails. Date: April 7th, 2016. Information of note. First known email sent by SCP-4334-1. Message was sent at the same time that SCP-4334's first anomalous properties formed. Hey kids! Looking for a hip new crib for you and your squad? Why don't you come on down to Oakwood State Park? This isn't your average everyday forest. This forest is with the times. There are new state-of-the-art all-natural power outlets, so your phone will never die, and neither will the fun. Not to mention free Wi-Fi. So what are you waiting for? The forest of the future is here. #Nature is cool. Date: March 16th, 2017. Information of note. Email was sent following the discovery of music and anomalous firefly behavior within SCP-4334. What's good in the hood, my dudes? Oakwood State Park just underwent a major revamp. That's right, all the hottest new tunes are now here every night for you to get jiggy with. Not only that, the fireflies will join in too, making every night in the woods into an epic rave. This forest is more lit than any club scene around, so what are you waiting for? Come on down to Oakwood State Park and get turned. Hashtag lit, hashtag epic, hashtag nature is cool. August 21st, 2018. Information of note, most recent emails sent by SCP-4334-1. You know what? Fuck all of you. You kids are everything that's wrong with the world today. Children like you used to play in me all the time, wading around in creeks, climbing trees, wholesome forest stuff. But no, your generation is too good for that. Everything's gotta be all flashy and digital, and I've gotta bust my ass to try to be a hip. Did you know that fireflies usually only come out in the summer? Do you know how hard it is, or how hard it was to get mine to stick around all year? And even after all the effort I put in, you still won't even show up. Well, screw it. I quit. Enjoy your vapes or whatever the fuck you're all into nowadays. I'm done. Update. Following August 21st, 2018, SCP-4334-1 has ceased activity. Furthermore, exploration of SCP-4334 following this date has revealed no evidence of continuing anomalous phenomena. Proposals to reclassify SCP-4334 as neutralized are currently pending review. That's sad. You say anomalous entity 4334. I say Night Vale ad spot. Wow, SCP is getting real. It gave up and went home. Yeah. I want to go to, like, the nearest wooded area and just shout apologies to it. At least I've been actually recently, like, getting out and into, like, recent little nature parks on Sundays. Now I might do that again for the 3rd time in a row. Or the 3rd week in a row. Anywho. Now we have another ghost. 6096. Level 3 confidential. With a rating of 559. Dang. Containment class Keter, so it's difficult to keep a lid on. It's only a minor disruption. Level 3 risk class, so it's probably dangerous. Special containment procedures. Containment of SCP-6096 is to be handled directly by Mobile Task Force Zeta-29, or Blood Brothers. SCP-6096 is to be detained in a standard humanoid containment chamber located at Site-19. On-site personnel are to constantly monitor SCP-6096's chamber via video and audio recording devices. Any changes in behavior are to be immediately logged. SCP-6096 is to be released from containment whenever it desires. During an off-site excursion, SCP-6096 is to be escorted directly to its destination by MTF Zeta-29 using whatever mode of transport is most convenient. A secondary team are to move ahead of this main escort group and preemptively dose the target with a high-grade tranquilizer so as to ensure unconsciousness. Once SCP-6096 has successfully terminated the civilian in question, it is to be invited back into containment. Description: SCP-6096 is an entity presumably humanoid in shape, the body of which is perpetually concealed underneath a large cotton sheet. Due to the presence of this sheet, a full physical description of SCP-6096 is not possible. Superficial analysis of the entity, however, indicates that SCP-6096 is 1.55 meters tall and weighs approximately 48 kilograms. The sheet covering SCP-6096 is larger than the actual body, and typically trails at least a meter behind it when it is mobile. Personnel have been unable to attempt to remove this sheet in order to obtain a more accurate description. No living being can consciously take an action which would result in harm coming to SCP-6096. An action which would result in harm coming to SCP-6096, is a broad category and has been observed to consist of acts including attempting to attack SCP-6096, attempting to order others to attack it, attempting to trick others into unknowingly attacking it, attempting to lay a trap for it, attempting to order others to lay a trap for it, attempting to trick others into unknowingly laying a trap for it, attempting to create a device which would independently and automatically cause harm to it, attempting to leave its presence when doing so would expose the entity to harm, attempting to self-terminate if said self-termination would result in negative repercussions for it, and attempting to remove SCP-6096's sheet. SCP-6096 is usually docile, allowing itself to be led into containment for so long as said relocation will not result in harm coming to it. At periodic intervals, however, SCP-6096 will become active and independently mobile, persistently moving at walking speed toward a target. In all observed cases, this target has been a human being selected at random from the population of the planet Earth. Any individual who observes SCP-6096 during an active period will gain an instant awareness of the identity of the current target, along with their location. Additionally, they will find themselves compelled to aid SCP-6096 in reaching and securing its target. Evidence suggests that SCP-6096's target alone is exempt from its main anomalous property. They are able to take actions which could cause harm to SCP-6096. To date, however, none have been successful in doing so. Usually due to the unwilling efforts of the entourage, SCP-6096 inevitably accumulates during its journey to the target. When SCP-6096 physically reaches the target, it will subsume them underneath its cotton sheet. In cases where the victim is conscious, they can be seen and heard struggling against SCP-6096 underneath the sheet for a period ranging from 20 to 40 minutes, after which they will disappear entirely. The cries of distress emitted by these victims suggest that this process is extremely painful. Following acquisition of its victim, SCP-6096 will return to its docile state. I'm going to take a drink. Tonight's beverage is good old coffee. I'm sorry, I want to see your fireflies, I really do. I would even settle for butterflies. Plot twist, it has Twitter and is hunting down that one guy. POV, you are a Mimikyu trainer? Thank you for the trifecta of health. Go. Down goes the Wawa. I am sitting goodly. Hang on, there's this little spot on my neck that I need to... There we go. Okay. Stretch! Okay. Do a little stretch of my jaw too. Why not? Okay. Addendum 6096-1. Initial containment. SCP-6096 first came to the attention of the Foundation on September 12, 2018, when police in the town of Durham, New Mexico were called to the home of the local Malian family. Or Mayon? I'm gonna go with Malian. The parents of the family, Samuel and Amanda Malian, claimed that SCP-6096 had entered their home and caused their 16-year-old son, Desmond Malian, to vanish. SCP-6096 was still present at the home when police arrived, and when authorities subsequently found themselves physically unable to remove the sheet covering it, Agents embedded in the regional government alerted the Foundation and brought the entity into initial containment. The household of the Malian family was equipped with several cameras for home security purposes, and so the arrival of SCP-6096 was also captured on film. The following is a transcribed log of the relevant portion of this footage. Begin log. The Malian family is sat on the couch in their living room, facing the television. Samuel and Amanda Malian are actively watching television while Desmond Malian is scrolling on his phone. The sound of a car pulling in can be heard. This is believed to be Drake Allen, a local taxi driver, dropping SCP-6096 off outside the house. Several seconds later, Samuel Malian nudges his wife and points toward the out-of-shot window. What? You see that? See what? I don't... Oh! You see? Is that a Halloween thing? We're closer to Christmas, aren't we? It's coming over. That's... Oh, it wants... Oh. Oh. Amanda reaches over and grabs Desmond's arm tightly. He looks up from his phone. What's up? I'm doing stuff. Nothing, honey, just... Oh. Just stay there, okay? Just stay with me. Oh, no. SCP-6096 is barely audible as it gently knocks on the front door. I'll get it. Samuel shakily gets up from the couch and moves over to the front door. He opens it, and SCP-6096 enters. The hell? Is that Kimmy? A younger relative. What's she all dressed up for? Attempts to pull arm away. Hey, could you let me go? You're kind of hurting me. Amanda whimpers. That's fine, honey. I'm sorry, honey. It's just... Don't move, and it'll be fine. I only hurt your arm when you try to pull away. That's just... As SCP-6096 approaches, Samuel moves ahead of it and grabs Desmond's other arm, holding him down against the couch. It's just fine. You just stay still, honey, and just close your eyes. It won't hurt if you just close your eyes. I love you. I love you, okay? Honey? Okay? Desmond attempts to break free, but is unable. He kicks his legs wildly in the air. His phone slips off the arm of the couch and falls onto the carpet. What are you... I'm serious! Let go of me! Just stay still, son. Just stay still. It won't hurt for long. It can't hurt for long. Stay strong. Stay strong for me. You're gonna break my fucking arm! SCP-6096 reaches Desmond and begins to subsume him, feet first, under the cotton sheet. Amanda and Samuel watch, mouths open, as Desmond is fully dragged under the sheet, visibly struggling. It appears that they are attempting to scream, but are unable. Desmond begins to loudly scream, and violent thrashing can be seen under the sheet. This continues for 36 minutes. Once Desmond has completely vanished, SCP-6096 returns to a docile state. It wraps itself in the cotton sheet and sits down on the carpet facing the television. Samuel collapses to the floor and curls up into the fetal position, seemingly in a state of shock. Amanda staggers backwards to the far wall, continuing to face SCP-6096, and calls emergency services on her cell phone. All parties remain in the same positions, save for Samuel's occasional rocking until police arrive. End log. All immediate witnesses were dosed with Class A amnestics, and a cover story for the disappearance of Desmond Malian was produced. It is currently unknown how long SCP-6096 was operating prior to this event, if at all. Addendum 6096-2. Welcome Notice. Told you, Twitter troll. And there you have it. Welcome to Mobile Task Force Zeta-29. The booze is under the sink. No need to worry about professionalism down here. The higher-ups couldn't demote me if they wanted to. Apparently, my presence as the head of SCP-6096 containment is beneficial enough to it that me being reassigned would count as harming it. Lucky me. You're probably wondering how we can be shameless enough to say we have this thing under containment. It comes and goes whenever it feels like it, and if it ever decided it didn't want to come back to its containment cell, we have literally no way of forcing it. And yeah, you're probably also thinking that calling that room a containment chamber instead of a hotel room is just as shameful. To that I say, you're absolutely right. There's nothing we can do against SCP-6096. Feel free to take a drink while you're able to accept that. Don't hold back. You're going to become very familiar with that bottle anyway. I know I did the first time I had to hold the door to a maternity ward open for this thing. The idea of containing SCP-6096 is a bad joke. We all decided a long time ago that the only way out of this nightmare is liquidation, decommissioning, neutralization, whatever you want to call it. But that's no walk in the park either. I've stood in that chamber for hours, gun pointed at 6096's head, screaming at my finger just to tighten, slightly. Didn't work. You can't harm SCP-6096, no matter how much you want to. You can't even try to start a Rube Goldberg kind of thing to eventually harm SCP-6096. It's just a fact of the world. Maybe a semiohazard, or whatever it's called. The way I see it, then, there are three main ways out of this nightmare. 1. Another organization, maybe the GOC, takes a shot at it without realizing what they're dealing with. Maybe they think we're transporting something much more dangerous. Maybe they think we're in over our heads with it, and they take it out with a drone or something, blow the thing to hell while we're transporting it. A bomb would kill it easy, I think. It feels weak. This would only work so long as the GOC thinks they're bombing something else entirely. If they knew it was SCP-6096, they'd just be contained to. 2. An AIC deals with it. I don't know if an artificial intelligence is immune to SCP-6096's effects, but the fact that it won't let me tell one of them about it gives me hope. Maybe one day one of those computers gets a mission, and maybe that mission, by complete coincidence, happens to lead them over to this file. Then they use their superior intelligence to set things up so SCP-96 runs into an accident out of the blue. Or 3, a target gets lucky. Maybe a 6096 goes after a gun nut, and the poor guy gets a lucky shot in before we can hold him down. This almost happened once, but Lopez took the bullet. Poor guy bled out while we were holding the target down for 6096. Maybe it'll happen again. Go better. Maybe. Let's be honest. These scenarios aren't scenarios, they're fantasies. The odds of any of these things happening on their own are tiny, minuscule. The only thing that can really do 6096 in, as far as I can see, is sheer coincidence. In the end, all we can do is wait and hope. Hope for one of us to make a genuine mistake that gets the right dominoes falling. But I wouldn't hold your breath. After all, we're so fucking good at what we do. Charlie Szymanski, Commander of Mobile Task Force Zeta 29, codename Blood Brothers. Welp. Okay, I'll take that drink. Yeah, that feels pretty for real. But no more of that. Ooh, we're going back a little ways. SCP-1049. Object Class: Safe. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-1049 is to be kept in a 1x1 by 3 meter aviary. Other than a perch 2 meters above ground, feeder, and water container, no foreign objects are permitted in SCP-1049's enclosure. SCP-1049 must be kept tethered to the perch at all times. If entry to SCP-1049's enclosure is required, protective clothing must be worn and time spent inside the enclosure must be kept to a minimum. SCP-1049 is to be fed a diet consisting mostly of beetles, crickets, and locusts. Small bats or mice may also be offered once per week. Personnel must not enter SCP-1049's enclosure to feed it. The feeder attached to the aviary allows for food to be offered from outside. Description: SCP-1049 is an adult male black and white owl, Strix nigrolineata. It is physically identical to any other member of its species, save for its eyes, which are a reddish pink. Its dietary needs and hunting behaviors are similar to those of any other owl. However, SCP-1049 exhibits the ability to remove the skeletons of humans by unknown means. It is presumed that it does this only to humans, as SCP-1049 does not appear to have used the ability on any other creatures prior to containment. SCP-1049 was found after police in blank, Mexico, made reports of boneless corpses being found in the nearby jungle, with no signs of external injury or another person having committed the crime. However, one victim had been found with several feathers resting on the corpse's chest, which were identified as belonging to an owl. Locals in the area reported seeing an unusual red-eyed specimen near to where the corpses were found, and claimed that it had caused the deaths of the victims. Police immediately discounted the claims. Foundation officials received the report during routine intelligence checks and searched the area, eventually finding SCP-1049. Before SCP-1049 could be contained, it alighted upon the shoulder of Agent Blank. SCP-1049 bit at Agent Blank's face, although Agent Blank suffered no injury. After several seconds, Agent Blank collapsed. Agent Blank's body appeared to cave in on itself. Remains of Agent Blank were found to be completely boneless. Cause of death is believed to be pressure and shock applied to the brain after the loss of the cranium. SCP-1049 later produced a pellet containing small pieces of human bone, including phalange fragments and a cochlea. Testing confirmed that the fragments belonged to Agent Blank. SCP-1049 will attack any humans it sees in this manner, resulting in a complete loss of bone tissue and resultant death. Addendum: examination of SCP-1049 reveals no internal anomalies, or any indication of what causes the reaction seen in Agent Blank. It is also unknown how bone fragments are ingested by SCP-1049, as it does not attempt to eat its victims. Wicked!
Hello, Fluffy!
You want your Agent Blank wings boneless? Burbs be bourbon. Yeah, this one is all the way back in 2nd gen. That's quite a ways back. Oh, this one's even further back. This is OG. SCP-69 or 691. Rating 47! Nice! That's my favorite number. SCP-691. Object Class Euclid. Reclassification to Safe, pending confirmation from Foundation Intelligence that redacted. Special Containment Procedures. One instance of SCP-691, SCP-691-0, is to be stored in a safety deposit box within the Foundation archives at Site Blank. Any other instances are to be destroyed following confirmation that they are identical to SCP-69-0. Access is restricted to Dr. Blank Blank and her research assistants. Following Incident SCP-691-I-1, secondhand recordings of SCP-691 are prohibited until permission is granted from a member of staff with Level 5 clearance. Please see investigation logs for details of standard experimental procedure with respect to any instance of SCP-691. Description: there are currently 15 identical instances of SCP-691, that are or have been under Foundation control. SCP-691 is a plain blue cassette tape on which is printed Pure Escapism, limited edition, one of only 250. One side of the tape contains a short foreword by an unknown male introducing a piece of music. See Addendum SCP-691-A1 for further details. On the opposite side, Aquarela do Brasil, using S.K. Russell's English lyrics, can be heard. This particular version is played by a modern symphony orchestra with an unidentified lyric tenor providing the vocals. It should be noted that the foreword will always be played first, regardless of which side of the tape is entered into the player, and both pieces will always be played from the beginning. The foreword is harmless and has yet to be linked to any of the effects of SCP-691, aside from encouraging the listener to turn the tape over. Subjects listening to the musical piece have reported visual, auditory, and tactile hallucinations, along with a sense of relaxation and well-being. However, it is unclear whether this is due to the nature of the hallucinations or if it is one of the tape's cognitive effects. Hallucinations have always been described as benign by listeners and have not been cited as a direct cause of any psychological trauma. Even though hallucinations vary, they have shown some consistency for repeated listeners. Subjects allowed free access to SCP-691 will eventually become capable of doing little more than listening to the tape repeatedly, in several extreme cases foregoing food and drink to do so. Regular listeners who are denied access will not show traditional withdrawal symptoms. Instead, they will show difficulty in acknowledging visual and oral stimuli. In a few cases, subjects have either refused to or been unable to acknowledge any external stimulus. Addendum SCP-691-A1, transcript of SCP-691's foreword. Hi there. If you're listening to this, then I can assume that life has got the better of you. Things didn't work out the way you wanted them to, did they? Sometimes it's bad luck, sometimes you're the cause of your own ruin, or maybe it's just that you're going nowhere. I'm not one to judge. Everybody has regrets. It's perfectly normal. You don't have to lie to yourself. But I'm digressing, so I'll get to the point. I've got some good news for you, sir or madam. I can offer you a way out. No. It's not suicide. You and I both know you don't have the stomach for that unpleasantness. I'm offering you something so much better besides. All you have to do is flip this tape over, close your eyes, and relax. Think of somewhere nice. Think of the good times. Think of those things you always wanted to do. Now, I can't promise that I can give you these, but what I can promise is this. On the other side of this tape, you will find an escape from your own personal train wreck. Enjoy! Addendum SCP-691-A2. All further study on SCP-691 is to be focused on identifying traits associated with its use as per Dr. Blank's instructions. A request has also been made to study the effects of secondhand recordings of SCP-691-0 at various volumes, approval pending. Foundation Intelligence and a detachment of MTF Alpha-2 are working to identify and retrieve any other instances of SCP-691 that may be available to the general public. Free drugs with music? I'm in. Okay. Incident SCP-691-I1. Persons involved, Dr. Blank. Profile. Dr. Blank was a reliable and conscientious Foundation employee. His work on SCP Blank and SCP Blank has been of great use to the Foundation. Testimony from Dr. Blank's wife revealed that Dr. Blank was in substantial financial difficulty around the time of the incident, although it is uncertain whether or not this was a contributing factor to SCP-691-I1. Report. So I believe this is May blank 20 blank or 2000 blank 1325? What? Oh, wait, I think that's, like, military time. Okay, so 1325. Dr. Blank enters the cell of subject D691-25 and begins SCP-691 INV 30. 1331. Dr. Blank concludes his investigation and D691-25 is removed from cell for termination. Dr. Blank reviews dictaphone and transcribes recording. 1335. Data expunged. 1403. Security footage shows Dr. Blank exiting Site Blank. Gatehouse security reports that Dr. Blank cited a personal errand as his reason for leaving. 1415. SCP-691-0 is reported missing by Site Blank security. Security footage is reviewed and a retrieval team is scrambled to Dr. Blank's home in accordance with Foundation missing object policy. 1435. Retrieval team finds no trace of Dr. Blank despite a thorough search of his home and the surrounding area. 1600. Dr. Blank's credit card statement shows that he bought a personal cassette player from a secondhand shop in blank blank at around this time. Turns over to June at 0930. Dr. Blank is reported as a missing person by his wife. Local police department are authorized to conduct a search under Foundation supervision. Standard cover story, blank 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 blank. And then December blank, 1722. Dr. Blank's body is found near blank blank. SCP-691-0 is recovered. Responsibility for SCP-691-0 is given to Dr. Blank Blank. Afterward. Post-mortem showed that the probable cause of Dr. Blank's death was hypothermia brought about by exposure. The body was found with a personal cassette player containing SCP-691-0. Foundation leaked standard cover story blank blank blank, and the local coroner's court returned a verdict of accidental death as a direct result of this, citing Dr. Blank's fragile emotional state as an exacerbating factor. Agent Blank's report stated that Dr. Blank's death was an indirect result of data expunged. The report did, however, mention that Agent Blank believed that Dr. Blank's life could have been saved if he had less knowledge of Foundation missing object policy, and suggested a review of non-classified information for non-security personnel. All three of Dr. Blank's research assistants have since been subjected to full psychological evaluations and have been transferred to projects where cognitohazards and perceptohazards are not involved. And then we have some investigation logs. Standard procedure for investigations involving SCP-691 is as follows. Subjects allowed free access to SCP-691-0 are to be provided with a soundproof, fully furnished cell. Foundation staff entering testing cell are to wear ear defenders. Subjects listening to SCP-691-0 under a member of staff supervision are to do so through headphones. All prompts from Foundation staff should be nonverbal. NB. Not sure what NB stands for, but Following incident SCP-691-I1, Foundation staff must wear ear protection when any instance of SCP-691 is being played, regardless of the circumstances. Sound recording equipment must not be operated whilst any instance of SCP-691 is playing, and only written accounts from test subjects are permitted. 691 INV-1. Date blank, time 1025, subject D691-1. Procedure. Standard experimental procedure followed. D1 was to listen to both sides of SCP-691 in their entirety and was to give a verbal account of their experience. Report. D1 reports nothing unusual whilst listening to SCP-691-0's forward. Whilst listening to the reverse of SCP-691-0, D1 describes how the colors of the room have become more vivid, and likens Dr. Blank to something like out of a cartoon. D1 reports a feeling of complete peace. Subject appeared to take great pleasure in how Dr. Blank was always smiling, although Dr. Blank reports that this was not the case. D1 requested further access to SCP-691. Request was denied. Classified. O5 clearance required. Skipping to INV-10, date blank, time 0951, subject D691-7. Procedure. Standard experimental procedure was followed. D7 was allowed free, undisturbed access to SCP-691-0. D7 was asked to record his experiences via a written journal. Report. In his first entry, D7 describes green pastures and a cool breeze. This is followed by a rambling discourse on his feelings of his newfound freedom. The second, third, and fourth entries continue in a similar vein, describing the sights and sounds of what appears to be rural Switzerland, and involving several more asides on various subjects, including freedom, atonement, and forgiveness, each entry being of deteriorating quality. The fifth entry was illegible and was D7's last. Dr. Blank requested that SCP-691 INV-10 be ceased at 1427 on blank date, citing that no more useful information could be yielded. Classified. O5 clearance required. SCP-691 INV-15, blank date, time 1000. Subject D691-12. Procedure. Standard experimental procedure was followed. D12 was allowed full access to SCP-691-0 for 72 hours. After this period, D12 was denied access to SCP-691-0. Daily interviews were conducted. Report. D12's reaction to SCP-691-0 was similar to those of D-Class personnel in previous investigations. Dr. Blank hypothesized that D12's reaction to deprivation of SCP-691-0 would lead to textbook withdrawal symptoms. Instead, Dr. Blank encountered considerable difficulty when interviewing the subject. D12 was not responsive to Dr. Blank's questions. Other than requests for access to SCP-691-0, D12 was uncommunicative. An MRI scan of D12's brain showed minimal response to visual, oral, and physical stimuli. An MRI scan taken whilst D12 was listening to SCP-691-0 showed signals consistent with external stimuli, along with a strong reaction originating from the nucleus accumbens. Classified. O5 clearance required. SCP-691-INV-30. Blank date, time 1325, subject D691-25. Procedure. Standard experimental procedure followed. Dr. Blank requested a D-Class subject with a generally high quality of life, a background free of alcohol and drug abuse, and lacking traits generally associated with an addictive personality. Subject D691-25 was acquired via data expunged and subjected to a series of psychological tests and a precursory interview to gauge mental well-being and to confirm background. Subject was to listen to SCP-691-0 and was to give a verbal account of their experience. Report. No formal report compiled. Transcript of D691-25's account is as follows, translated from redacted. Begin recording. Okay, I hear a man speaking. I can't understand what he's saying. Sounds like English. He's finished now. Do you want me to... Okay, doing it. There. I hear music. I don't recognize the tune, but... Can you see this? It's a city. It's how I imagined redacted would be. Well after those border security people caught us. Elaborate? You mean you can't see it? It's beautiful. Shining skyscrapers. Everything's just gleaming. This is the redacted my brother told me about in his letter. This isn't like a city back in my country, Doctor. You'll have to see this to believe it. I could stay in a place like this for the rest of my life. Subject begins to hum, ignoring Dr. Blank's prompts. Tape ends. Again. I want to go back there again. No, I don't want another medical exam. I want that money you promised me, and I want that tape. Recording ends. Oh, NB means nota bene. Important note. Gotcha. Okay. So it's one of those relaxation tapes that goes too far. Neat. Random. We got another one by within the 7th generation. SCP Foundation Fish Rising? Okay, SCP 6247, Object Class Euclid, Special Containment Procedures. Due to its location, all ships passing through the spot under which SCP-6247 is located are to be redirected through an alternate route. Under the guise of severe weather conditions, all noticeable debris emerging from SCP-6247 is to be retrieved and stored in a secure containment unit at Site-184. Constant monitoring of SCP-6247 for fluctuations and anomalous activity is to be carried out. I'm gonna take a drink quick. Coffee. Description. SCP-6247 is the designation given to a structure found on the seafloor of the Atlantic Ocean. SCP-6247 exists in a constant state of flux between an unconfirmed number of realities, rendering a full mapping of the structure unfeasible. From time to time, debris is violently expelled from SCP-6247 in a manner consistent with that of an explosion. Of note is that all debris recovered from SCP-6247 has exhibited signs of stress consistent with depths of minus 6,000 meters below sea level. The Atlantic Ocean has an average depth of 3,646 meters, with a maximum depth of around 5,000 meters. So it comes from even deeper, supposedly. A secondary anomalous effect that has been attributed to SCP-6247 manifests as a series of messages encoded through standard Foundation methods. These messages are transmitted repeatedly at regular intervals. The content of these messages is displayed below. Unknown collision in Sector 4B. Please remain calm. Charybdis Protocol implemented. Sector 4B reclassified lost. Temporary anomaly designation 0059. One specimen. Deceased. Update. June 3rd, 2022. On June 3rd, 2022, SCP-6247 expelled a large container bearing a Foundation insignia, which quickly rose up to the surface and activated a beacon transmitting on standard Foundation channels. Upon retrieval, the contents of the box were examined and sent to Site-184 for study due to the site's proximity. The box contained documentation on several unobserved aquatic anomalies attributed to a non-existent Foundation facility located somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean. No data recovered has been linked to any existing Foundation operation and is to be disregarded. So it's an explosive, oceanic, like, multiverse gate, I guess. Neat. Next. Ooh. We got one from the Chinese branch. So, SCP CN-757. Object class previously Euclid is now Keter. To CN-757 classified. Yeah. Special containment procedures. A temporary site has been set up near SCP CN-757 at which MTF, that's in Chinese, that I don't know how to read, MTF text 18 untitled has been stationed. This mobile task force's information is not to be entered into any Foundation databases. Every month, blank agents from this task force must be dispatched to the interior of SCP-CN-757 for exploration, primarily to determine spatial and personnel-related changes in the interior, and conduct interviews with subjects within to ascertain further information. At the same time, non-participating Foundation agents are to seal the entrance to SCP-CN-757 and monitor and delete information published to users in a timely manner. Instances who have already entered SCP-CN-757 must be interviewed by Foundation Front Company, Special Creative Park Organization, and amnesticized. Class D personnel are not to be allowed to enter SCP-CN-757. Containment procedures have been updated following Incident CN-757-G. Level 3 or higher personnel are to read the associated addendum for the latest information. Tiny World. Blank Park. SCP-CN-757 advertisement. Information regarding the location has been redacted. For further samples of advertisements, see here. And it links to like an art section for this particular SCP. Description. SCP-CN-757 is a spatial anomaly currently located in a 6-story old-style residential tower near Blank Park, Blank District, Shanghai City. Besides the button on the top of the building, there is no way to enter SCP-CN-757. The front door and windows do not allow for access to SCP-CN-757. Wait. Okay, I did read that right. There's also no way to enter the original interior of the residential tower. It is suspected that it has been entirely replaced by SCP-CN-757. The exterior of the residential tower is equipped with a scissor lift, allowing for access to the roof. The roof of SCP-CN-757 contains one self-service payment station and one red button. After a human subject pays the 50 renminbi entrance fee, the entrance fee can be paid using cash, card, or QR code. Card and QR code payment is made to an unknown user. Despite the fact that the QR code does not match any payment platform, it can still be used. So paying the 50 renminbi entrance fee, pressing the button will take them to any floor of SCP-CN-757. SCP-CN-757 contains not 50, not 60, but 70 floors, including the roof. After the subject enters SCP-CN-757, the anomaly will telepathically inform them of the rules of the game, the main rules being the following. Every floor in the game contains a red button. Pressing the red button will take the player to a floor that they have not yet visited at random. This teleportation will not cause the player any harm. The player must find the red button in this floor and press it. If the player is sent back to the roof, this constitutes winning the game. Entering or leaving certain floors requires completing tasks in other floors. Without completing these tasks, it is very difficult to leave these floors. Pressing the button will not send the player to a floor with incomplete prerequisites. Some floors can be reached without the teleportation function of the button. Any tools that may assist the player in completing the game will be deleted upon entering the game, and will be returned upon completion. Upon entering the room, objects within are free to be taken to the next level. However, they must be in contact with the player, e.g., held in their hand or in their pocket. Players are free to communicate with the workers within the game, and players can spend money on certain levels to obtain in-game coins at a 1-to-1 rate with renminbi. Money spent will be automatically deducted from the player's assets. I suppose this is now my time to quickly do my little med break. It's automatically conjuring vibes of Squid Game, but, you know, Squid Game is Korean. It's Aquaman Stargate. Stargate SC1? God, I love you. Damn, CN757 is charging to experience it. It learned capitalism, making the most scary SCP. Okay. Players who have successfully left SCP-CN-757 will be afflicted with a mental effect that expresses itself as praise of the gameplay experience of SCP-CN-757 and unclear memories of their experiences within the game. They will also have a high chance of recommending SCP-CN-757 to other instances, and a corresponding amount of electronic devices belonging to these instances will begin to display advertisements for SCP-CN-757. Although these advertisements are universally intended to encourage instances to play SCP-CN-757, the content of the advertisements differs widely, to the point that some of them incorrectly describe the contents of the game. However, all advertisements appear to be extremely attractive to the viewers. The following is a list of observations and game mechanics present in each floor. So we have a floor chart, floor 1F, setting, floor, setting, notes. First floor, toilet consisting of only a toilet bowl, a roll of toilet paper, and an emergency telephone. Can only be accessed after completing floor 4. This floor has no button, and the only means of escape is to complete the prerequisite on floor 4 or call for help on the emergency phone. Second floor, elevator. The button is the red emergency phone button. At the same time, pressing any button will take the player to that floor, including already visited floors. However, the buttons for floors 1, toilet, 2, same floor, elevator, 41, corridor, 56, library, and 69, unknown, and 70, roof, are absent. Third floor is a dentist's room, no notes. Fourth floor is an aged apartment with a line outside the window and an unusable phone. An employee is present on this floor, which will ask the player if they wish to pull the line, prerequisite for floor 1. Fifth floor, toilet clean room. There is a door, but it cannot be opened. The button is the red lock button on the mop. Cleaning tools can be taken out of the room. Sixth floor, shipping container. No light is present in the room. Without the paper lantern from floor 9, attic, or the flashlight from floor 39, storeroom, it is very difficult to find the button. If the player spends a long time in this room, the door of the container will open, leading to floor 57, construction depot. 7th floor, Japanese-style tatami room, with screens forming a simple maze. No notes. 8th floor, changing room with a mirror on one wall and all other walls plain white. Using the mirror, it can be discovered that the button is on the bottom of the chair. However, the player must press the button reflected in the mirror. If the player passes through the mirror, they can reach floor 20, cloakroom. 9th floor, attic. There are blueprints and tools on the table that can be used to create a paper lantern. A blueprint depicting puppets is present, which can also be taken out. Prerequisite for floor 41, corridor. 10th floor, trash room, extremely dusty. Button is the red fire alarm button. If the player does not press the button in time, the room will slowly fill with water, and the player will be sent to a random floor below floor 10. The cleaning tools from floor 5 can be used to quickly clean out the dust. 11th floor, ticket office. An exchange machine is present on this floor, which can be used to exchange game coins for tickets. All tickets are 10 coins and can be used on floors 40, Metro Hub, 58, Theater, and 64, Mall. However, the chances of being sent to these floors remains the same even after buying tickets. 12th floor, studio. The button is inside the bust statue and must be reached by opening it with a palette knife. The room is full of poor calligraphy, recently finished. 13th floor, puppet room. The button is located on the interior of a random puppet's clothes. 14th floor, retail department. An exchange machine is present on this floor, which can be used to exchange game coins for food and tools. Recruitment posters are pasted at the checkout, along with a realistic mannequin of unknown material. 15th floor, ruined hotel lobby. A receptionist is present on this floor. Talking to them has a chance of sending the player to floor 63, the presidential suite. 16th floor, piano room. No notes. 17th floor, black room with vinyl records on walls. Button is in the center of a random record. If the player plays this record to the end of the gramophone, the player can obtain a musical score. 18th floor, izakaya. Button is a red call for service button. An exchange machine is present on this floor, which can be used to obtain game coins and request food and drink from the employees. In some cases, tables and chairs on this floor are placed haphazardly, and many just used eating utensils are present. 19th floor, internet cafe. Button is a random computer's red power button. All other power buttons are blue. No payment is required on this floor. Computers are high-end and are equipped with various real-life games, which can be normally logged into with real accounts. However, all other players in these games are non-existent. In reality, these accounts will not show as logged in. The computers are also equipped with early beta versions of games produced by various studios under Letters Entertainment, which do not appear to possess any anomalous properties. 20th floor, cloakroom. Floor 8, changing room, can be directly accessed through the mirror. All clothes confiscated from the player upon entry for providing an advantage can be found here and can be taken away. Likewise, all objects in this room and considered items all objects in this room are considered items and can be removed. 21st floor, hospital room. 22nd floor, laboratory. Neither have any notes. 23rd floor, pet shop. No employees or exchange machines are present, and pets cannot be bought or taken out of the floor. Pets present are mostly common pets like cats, dogs, rabbits, and mice. However, they are markedly more docile and appear to be able to understand human language. 24th floor, fast food outlet. An exchange machine is present on this floor, which can be used to obtain game coins and purchase food from employees. 25th floor, bookstore. Employees are present on this floor who will give the user a book and request that they return it to its original place. An exchange machine is present on this floor which allows the player to purchase other books. Books present appear to change as books are published in the real world. Prerequisite for floor 56, library. 26th floor, gym. One piece of equipment will be marked in red. The button appears upon using that machine on the highest setting. 27th floor, kitchen. No notes. 28th floor, private room in a high-class restaurant. This floor is equipped with an exchange machine, but no employees are present. The exchange machine can be used to order food, which will be transported to the table. 29th floor, antique shop. This floor has no exchange machine, but items can be purchased by talking to the shop owner. Normally, the owner will refuse to sell anything, stating that you do not have enough money to buy anything. However, upon retrieving a large sum of money from floor 47, bank, items can be brought and taken out of the floor. All antiques bought from this shop have been shown to be genuine. 30th floor, computer room. Turning on all power sources, which will shine red upon activation, will complete the room. Only 3D modeling software is installed on the computers. Models of humans, animals, and scenes are saved on the computers. These files cannot be deleted. 31st floor, billiards room. Button is inside one of the pockets. 32nd floor, indoor rock climbing room. Button is a random red hold. 33rd floor, arcade with tablet games. Button is a random red button on one of the arcade machines. All other buttons are not red. The tablet games have some early versions of games produced by Letters Entertainment and do not possess anomalous properties. 34th floor, recreational vehicle. The exterior shows various scenery, which is actually a looping series of images. 35th floor, haunted house. Interior contains several unknown floating entities which cannot be talked to. 36th floor, graveyard. All gravestones are engraved with a name and a 1 or 2 digit number. These names do not appear to correspond to any real person. 37th floor, printing room. Besides existing printers and copiers, a large-sized 3D printer is present in the room, using an unknown material matching that of the mannequin on floor 14, retail department. 38th floor, classroom. This room is the only room where the player can see other players. The button is located in the storage compartment under one of the desks. When a player presses the button, it transfers to another random desk. A staircase can be used to access floor 39, storeroom. However, floor 39 is a single-player room, and it is conjectured that different players will be sent to different instances of floor 39. 39th floor, storeroom. A staircase can be used to access floor 38. Any tools confiscated from the player upon entry for providing an advantage can be found in this room and can be taken out. In addition, the player can find other tools, such as a skeleton key, flashlight, and extra button. The extra button can be taken to any floor and functions identically to the red button. Prerequisite for floor 41, corridor. 40th floor. Whew, how many more are there? Oh right, 69. 40th floor, Metro Hub. Button is a random red selection button on any of the ticketing machines. If the player has bought a ticket on floor 11, ticket office, they may select one of the 4 metro lines to take. The metro lines go to a random, unvisited, unlocked floor in their range. The ranges are 1 to 9, 21 to 29, 41 to 49, and 61 to 68, respectively. If the player has gone to every floor in that range, they will be sent to a random floor in the range. 41st floor, corridor. The doors on the side of the corridor cannot be opened. The button is on one of the doors. The corridor is dark, and the paper lantern from floor 9, attic, or the flashlight from floor 39, storeroom, are required to light it. The floor can only be accessed after reaching floor 9 or 39. 42nd floor, abandoned office. Interior is aged. In some cases, one room's air conditioning is turned on and the room is water-stained. 43rd floor, large unfinished room. No notes. 44th floor, hot spring public bath. In some cases, some of the towels show signs of being recently used. 45th floor, garage. Button is on one of the lights on a random car. This room has no entrances or exits. 46th floor, showcase room. Button is on the player's back and can be viewed through the glass. The showcase displays the user's past, which extends to Foundation agents. According to interviews, in a very small number of cases, tour guides have appeared on this floor. Foundation agents have not yet encountered tour guides. 47th floor, bank. An exchange machine is present on this floor. Conversing with the bank employees allows for the player to exchange large amounts of money. 48th floor, indoor play area. No notes. 49th floor, indoor pool. Button is on the bottom of the pool. 50th floor, secret chamber. Rooms must be opened by solving puzzles. The button is located in the last room opened. The skeleton key obtained in floor 39, storeroom, or bought on floor 14, retail department, may be used to open some of the doors. 51st floor, chapel. Several caskets are located below the floor. 52nd floor, market. Exchange machines are present on this floor, which allow the player to exchange currency to buy raw food from the sellers. The player can use these supplies to cook at any floor equipped with a kitchen, or request that an employee cook with the food on any restaurant floor. 53rd floor, ballroom. The disco ball must be arranged to shine light on a certain object to activate the button. 54th floor, sitcom set. No notes. 55th floor, indoor tropical garden. No notes. 56th floor, library. Floor 25, bookstore, must be visited to enter. The button can be retrieved upon taking the book from floor 25 to the librarian on this floor. If this is not done, the player must complete a book sorting task. 57th floor, construction depot and distribution site. Button is on one of the packages and must be retrieved using a forklift. This floor can be reached by waiting on floor 6, shipping container, but it is impossible to reach floor 6 from this floor. 58th floor, theater. If a ticket is purchased from floor 11, ticket office, performers will emerge on the stage and perform. However, no other employees or audience members are present. If a ticket is not brought to the floor, no performance will occur. 59th floor, dormitory. A large number of rooms is present on this floor. The skeleton key from floor 14, retail department, or floor 39, storeroom, can be used to open them. Some rooms have human subjects sleeping in them, but they cannot be awoken. 60th floor. Almost there, baby. On the home stretch. Giant room with ladders and no floor. The ladders must be used to reach the side of the room opposite the starting point, where the button is located. Pressing the button will take the player to a random room from floors 61 to 68. Falling will take the player to a random room below floor 30. The player will not be taken to a previously explored room unless all options have been explored. 61st floor, museum courtyard. Players can ask employees about the museum's exhibits, which are described in pamphlets and change over time. However, no exhibition halls are accessible. 62nd floor, factory, primarily produces spare parts. Large 3D printers identical to those found on floor 37, printing room, can be found here. 63rd floor, presidential suite, can be accessed through floor 15, the hotel lobby, but not vice versa. Workers will periodically arrive to clean the room and bring food. 64th floor, one floor of a mall. A large number of shops and restaurants and a cinema are present. All shops and restaurants are equipped with exchange machines which allow the player to buy items. If the player has a ticket from floor 11, ticket office, the player can enter the cinema, which will display a recent film from the real world. No escalators or elevators are present on the floor. 65th floor, train station departure hall. Button is located on a random gantry, which will be the only one colored red. There is no way to pass through to the ticketed area. 66th floor, giant toilet. Player will typically be placed on a high place, such as the top of the drawer, and must reach the button in a lower place, such as in the sink. The player must use tools to safely descend to the button, such as by using a towel as a parachute. 67th floor, maze. There is no exit, and all roads are dead ends. Parts of the button can be found at each dead end, which must be combined to create the button. 68th floor, village. No villagers are present, all shops are self-serve. The floor is encased in a giant sky screen. And 69th floor, unknown. No agents or players have successfully reached this floor. It is unknown whether this is a feature of this floor or the random transportation mechanic. Dang, that's a lot of floors. I read so many. Some SCPs will just kill you. This one will charge you microtransactions. And then there's game mechanics and features. Hang on. Foundation exploration. Okay, so it cuts off right here. Okay, so game mechanics and features. Regardless of the floor, it is possible to see the scenery outside the building as long as there is a window on that floor. The view corresponds to the 4th or 5th floor of the original residential tower. The red button's location is typically random, but seems to follow certain rules on certain levels, e.g., the button always appears on a random red brake signal lamp. The shape of the button may also be different on each level, and some buttons can only be found after completing certain tasks. Button positions that follow a rule are listed above. Floors with completely random button positions do not have a position listed. Similarly to how the rules are announced to the player will be telepathically informed of the floor number they are on. Oh, so wait, to the prior point, any of the floors that didn't have any notes, that just means the button was randomly located. In general, the higher the floor number, the larger the size of the floor. Playing the game comes with the risk of death. If the button is not found, staying on the same floor for too long may lead to starvation or bodily harm, e.g. floor 66, giant toilet. Some floors have other floors as prerequisites. If the player does not complete a certain task in the prerequisite floor, it is very hard to continue. On these floors, it is possible to use the extra button obtained on floor 39, storeroom. The following is a list of all floors with prerequisites. First floor toilet, so it's floor, prerequisite floor, task, alternative task. First floor toilet, prerequisite fourth floor, small room, task, pull the line. Use the emergency phone on floor 1, which will connect to the phone on floor 4 in another player's instance. If the player on floor 4 pulls the line twice, the player on floor 1 will be automatically transferred. During the conversation, any information relating to floors 1 and 4's tasks will be automatically blocked. It is possible to use the phone multiple times. 56th floor, library and the bookstore, return the book. Complete the book sorting task on floor 56 as requested by the librarians. This will take about 5 hours. Sheesh. The corridor, the attic or the storeroom, create a paper lantern or obtain the flashlight. Otherwise, randomly feel the walls of the corridor. Some floors allow for direct access to other floors. See the table below. I'm gonna skip. We already read a lot of this. Some floors have a trophy system. It is unknown what acquiring the trophy actually does. After acquiring a trophy-shaped symbol will appear on the back of the player's right hand. It will disappear after completion. Currently discovered trophies are as follows. 1. From either toilet or small room. Successfully leave and escape floor 1 regardless of method. Trophy 2. From attic or puppet room. Arrange the puppets on floor 13 according to the blueprint on floor 9. 3. A piano room or a vinyl room. Perform the musical score from floor 17 on the piano on floor 16. 4. The cloakroom and storeroom. Reclaim all items confiscated at the beginning of the game. 5. Laboratory and market. Use the equipment on floor 22 to cook a meal. 6. Bookstore and library. Having returned the book, complete the librarian's task on floor 56 anyway. 7. In the gym. Put the treadmill on the highest setting and run for 3 minutes. Oh dear. 8. Billiards room. Pocket every ball except the cue ball in one of the pockets without the button. 9. Rock climbing room. Climb to the top of the wall. Some floors have exchange machines which can be used to exchange renminbi for in-game coins at a 1-to-1 rate. We already knew that. The flow of time within SCP-CN-757 is the same as in reality. There are some connections between the interior and reality, such as the updating of movies and books within. And the chances of reaching certain floors is higher for some floors such as floor 47, bank, and floor 46, showcase room, and smaller for others such as floor 68, village, and floor 59, dormitory. No records relating to floor 69 have been recorded. Foundation exploration of SCP-CN-757 began on blank 2000 blank. Initial plans involved sending batches of Class D personnel into the anomaly. However, this plan was shelved for a significant period of time, and the Class D intake for that season dropped by 20%. At the same time, SCP-CN-757's floor count expanded from 50 to 60. As such, it is suspected that some Class D personnel were actually sent into SCP-CN-757 but did not return. Their existences were thus subject to an antimemetic effect. As the rules did not mention the outcome of not completing the game, it is currently unknown where these personnel are located. Following this, exploration was transferred to MTF Text 01, Only Fragrance. However, almost all agents left SCP-CN-757, having been to less than 10 floors. This did not match with other subjects who had cleared SCP-CN-757, who typically had to progress through at least 30 floors. As such, it is suggested that the operators of SCP-CN-757 are to a certain degree aware of the Foundation, and do not wish for the Foundation to perform extensive exploration of the interior. At the same time, the transportation mechanic of the red buttons is not completely random, and is to some possibly large degree controlled by an operator. Following this, Site CN-34 created a new task force, MTF Text 18, codename Untitled, specifically to explore SCP-CN-757. Information on the members of this MTF are restricted to Level 3 or higher personnel, and must be stored on paper and not electronically. This MTF is to live as if they were normal members of society, and contact is to be done through specialized devices. MTF Text 18, I'll just call them Untitled, achieved a larger degree of success in exploring SCP-CN-757. As anti-memory effect drugs had been administered, members could clearly remember the events that occurred within SCP-CN-757 even after winning the game. At the same time, extensive interviews with individuals who had cleared SCP-CN-757, partial interview logs can be seen in Addenda CN-757-A and B, revealed some further information. In addition to the above information, prior exploration has revealed the following information about SCP-CN-757. Although most items brought into SCP-CN-757 can be used upon recovery, communication and recording devices are non-functional within SCP-CN-757. Combined with the memory effect placed on players who clear the game, it is suspected that this is to prevent leakage of information. It is currently unknown what happens after a player dies within SCP-CN-757. It is suspected that a similar anti-meme is applied as with the D-Class personnel. It is also suspected that the gravestones on floor 36, Graveyard, and the remains on 51, Chapel, are in some way related to the dead instances, but it is unknown what difference the two floors have. As the game is not particularly difficult, the estimated number of failed attempts is lower than the number of distinct remains and gravestones on those two floors. The locations of these players in the D-Class sent in by the Foundation are currently unknown. This is kind of a girthy one. The layout of the floors will change depending on the circumstances and tastes of the player, most notably on floor 46, Showroom. It is currently unknown how SCP-CN-757 obtains information relating to its players. However, MTF Untitled has succeeded in exploration, indicating that it does not read the thoughts of the player. The main theory is that the game conducts a large-scale online search for information relating to the player, which also explains the variety in advertisements depending on the person. Humanoid instances on each floor differ based on the player, but mostly share some common points. For instance, the employee on floor 4 is always a male in his 50s, and the receptionist on floor 15, Hotel Lobby, is always an attractive female in her 20s. Some players claim that these instances left a deep impression on them or politely initiated conversation. Other than members of MTF Untitled, no Foundation agents had similar experiences. SCP-CN-757 will sometimes expand in size by 10 floors. At the same time, according to interviews, some rooms will change. Some players recall that Floor 29 was a pharmacy rather than an antique shop. No explanation for the expansions has been recovered or discovered. At times, some floors show signs of having been recently used. However, because floors other than Floor 38, Classroom, are limited to one player, it is suspected that a large number of other entities exist within SCP-CN-757. One suggestion is that these are left by the humanoid instances on other floors. However, no humanoid instances have been discovered that are not at their posts. During exploration, multiple agents have been on the same floor at the same time. This occurred when 2 agents were on Floor 19, the Internet Cafe, at the same time, as evidenced by the time displayed on the computers. However, both agents did not see any other players on that floor. It is suspected that the interior of SCP-CN-757 is capable of self-duplication, such that 2 players can be on different copies of the same floor at the same time. In some cases, the entrance on the roof will display the text, "Too many players," and refuse entry. It is suspected that SCP-CN-757 is limited in its replication. As prior exploration from Foundation agents have been prevented, it was determined that SCP-CN-757 or its operators have some knowledge of the Foundation and possess an unfriendly attitude towards it, not wanting to reveal too much information. In addition, due to the games present on floors 19, Internet Cafe, and the arcade, it is evident that SCP-CN-757 is related in some way to Letters Entertainment. As such, the Foundation is using the following strategy. Employ a large volume of personnel in MTF Untitled and regularly explore SCP-CN-757. During exploration, conversation with employees is required so as to gather further information about their identities and the operation of SCP-CN-757. Continue to conduct interviews and amnesticization of individuals who have played SCP-CN-757. Although their memories of SCP-CN-757 are impaired by the effect of the anomaly, some fragmentary information can still be obtained. Continue to analyze the mechanics and anomalous effects of SCP-CN-757. As tools originating within SCP-CN-757 cannot be taken out, it is best to begin with the building itself and the button on the roof. The Foundation has sent an email to I&I Studio to establish its connection with Letters Entertainment. That leads to SCP-CN-483. And then there's a bunch of addendums and different logs. I don't want to read all of them. It is SCP-CN-757 if anyone wishes to read the rest. Blech. Okay, next, hopefully something shorter. Ooh, I think this one is in the current generation. This one looks a bit long-winded. Oh well. At least it doesn't have like 1,000 logs. So, SCP-8410, Level 4 Secret. Containment Class Safe. Disruption Class Dark, so it's not really disruptive at all to the status quo. And it's a low-risk class. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-8410 is held in a standard humanoid containment unit at Site-17. Information on SCP-8410's past, especially its involvement with Incident 140-CK, is to be restricted to individuals with Level 4 8410 clearance. Individuals are only to be given such clearance after a panel of Foundation psychologists has performed a background check and psychological analysis and concluded that they are unlikely to harm SCP-8410 in retaliation for its role in Incident 140-CK. Description: SCP-8410 is a 12-year-old humanoid male. SCP-8410 currently possesses no outwardly apparent anomalous properties. However, for several years prior to Incident 140-CK, SCP-8410 experienced nightly paracognitive dreams, seemingly set in a fictionalized version of Northern Asia, see the 1700s BCE. Although these dreams were not reliably accurate in their depiction of the region, they contained a significant amount of classified information regarding anomalous elements active at that time. SCP-8410 denies accessing classified information regarding the period and claims to have never witnessed any anomalous phenomena prior to its first encounter with the Wanderer's Library, which occurred several years after these dreams began. Okay, Wanderer's Library mention. That's a pretty big group of interest in the larger lore. Descriptions of several of these dreams are given in the document below. Discovery: SCP-8410 first came to the Foundation's attention when, in the aftermath of Incident 140-CK, it was discovered by Agent Blank, a member of MTF Sigma-3, the Bibliographers, near the Wanderer's Library's copy of SCP-140. Which was that? A Chronicle of the Devas. Okay. That's another little rabbit hole. The entity was unconscious due to severe blood loss. Agent Blank transported it to Site Blank, where it was resuscitated. At the time of its capture, SCP-8410 was in possession of a handwritten, hardcover journal. Its contents have been transcribed below. January 7th, 2024. Hey there! I guess me and my mom are the only ones likely to read this, so if you're reading this, you already know that this is the dream journal my mom got me for my 12th birthday, so I could start writing down the strange dreams I have. I've had one every night since I was 6. Not some nights. Not most nights. Every night. The dreams are about an ancient world of magic and monsters. It's not the Middle Ages. It's farther back, with weapons and shields and armor made of bronze. Magic is everywhere. All the best weapons and armor are magical, and those who wield magic in battle are feared and respected. Magic isn't just for fighting, though. There are pens that supply their own ink. There are spells that preserve food and make it taste better than anything in real life. There are paintings that move like TV screens, statues that come to life, and guqins that pluck their own strings. There are huge magical creatures: Pegasi, krakens, dragons, mogwai, spirits, ghosts, yokai, and giant tardigrades. Some of those creatures speak, and some can be ridden into battle, like my tardigrade mount, Snowflake. In this world, there are 4 strange magical kingdoms. The Mechanite Kingdom is full of magic machines. Adidum is weird and creepy, with people who reshape their bodies. The Davite Empire is full of slaves and led by evil tyrants bent on conquering the world, and my country, the Ortothan Kingdom, is the Empire's greatest enemy. In this world, I am a heroic warrior prince, master of spear and spell alike. Sometimes I fight monsters. Sometimes I battle enemy armies. Sometimes I solve mysteries, explore strange ruins, or quest for ancient and powerful treasures. I do all these things on behalf of my mother, the Queen, a kind and noble ruler, beloved by all the land. She looks and acts just like my real mom. She's just as caring, just as sweet, and her face lights up the same way when I tell her about my adventures. Almost every morning during breakfast, I tell my mom about my latest dream while we eat the amazing banana pancakes she makes every morning. She loves everything she hears. She's the only one who knows about my dreams. I've tried to tell my best friend Corey, but he's also in them sometimes. Or my best friend Corey, because he's also in them sometimes, but he's never really wanted to hear about them. Dad doesn't know either. He's already at work by the time I wake up, so he doesn't hear about the dreams at breakfast. That's honestly fine with me. He hardly has any time to spend with me. He doesn't deserve to know about them. Mom has always said I should write my dreams down, and that I should try to make them into books someday. I don't know if I'm going to go that far, but I don't mind writing them down here. That way I can come back and revisit them when I want to relive one of my adventures. Last night, I fought a grand battle. We've been marching on the Davite Empire for weeks. After our victory at the Battle of Omas, where we stopped their march into our kingdom, we've been pressing our advantage. We've left a trail of slain Devas and freed slaves as we've moved through their lands. Now we're closing in on their capital, where we can put an end to their tyranny once and for all. Their army is thousands strong and headed by enormous walking trees that could crush our knights into paste. Fortunately, we have machines of our own. I mentioned that my best friend Corey shows up in my dreams. He has ever since I met him. In real life, Corey is the smartest person I know. In my dreams, he's a genius inventor from the Mechanite Kingdom, who builds fantastic machines to use in our adventures. Thus, just as the Davites were piloting enormous trees, me and my companions were piloting great machines of clockwork and bronze as our kingdom's armies did fierce battle below us. My battles with the enemy's machines were fierce. I traded blows with one for more than 10 minutes before a great blow to its head caused its pilot to fall out of it. Soon after, when one charged at me, I took it out with a spell that opened a giant pit under it. I left Corey to fight the last machine while I attacked the capital's outer wall. I could hear Davite soldiers scrambling to get away from the chunks of rock I sent flying with every punch and kick. I kept wailing on the wall until I opened a massive hole for our army to pour in through. Once we had a way inside, we unmade their city, defeating their warriors and freeing every slave. Unfortunately, the Davite royal family, including their evil queen, got away. The cowards had fled before we arrived. Still, this was a glorious day. We dealt a blow to their empire from which they would never recover. January 8th, 2024. Last night we were back at the Queen's Palace, holding a grand feast to celebrate our victory against the Davites. The food was amazing. 12 courses. Rice and wonderful sauce, succulent goose covered with something that was sweet and sour at the same time, small sweet cakes frosted with sweeter cream. At the end of the feast, the Queen called me, Corey, and several more of her bravest warriors to be commended for our heroism. She gave a speech about our bravery as she slipped medals around our necks. I dream about a celebration like this at the end of most of my adventures. Mom always likes hearing about them. I wish I could have kept telling her about the dream all day, but eventually it was time to hug each other goodbye, so I could go off to school and she could go to work. January 8th, same day. Grandma came to school during lunch today while I was talking with Corey about a show we'd watched. The look on her face worried me. She asked me to follow her into the hallway. A pit formed in my stomach. I glanced at Corey for a moment, and then followed her out. "What's wrong?" I asked once we were in the hall. "Sweetie," she said, "your mother was in a car crash." The pit grew tighter. I asked how bad it was. It was bad enough that Grandma felt the need to come get me and bring me straight to the hospital. It turned out to be pointless. The doctors didn't let me see my mom. She was having surgery the whole time. A few times I overheard the doctors talking with my grandma. They sugar-coated things when they realized I could hear them, but when they didn't, it was clear that they didn't think Mom would live. Dad didn't make it to the hospital. He was too busy with work. Grandma had to drive me home. I can't wait to go to sleep tonight. January 9th. In last night's dream, I was in the hall outside the Queen's bedchamber. The Queen had been poisoned at the feast by a Davite spy, and now she was lying unconscious on her bed. While the greatest alchemists in the land scrambled to find a cure, I was fighting the Grim Reaper that had come to claim her. It was the hardest battle I'd ever fought, and the first one to ever frighten me. The Reaper was huge, like the skeleton of a giant, dressed in an impossibly pure black robe. Despite how big it was incredibly fast, zipping freely through the air, dodging every thrust of my spear. My screeching alarm woke me up before the battle concluded. My dad had left a note by my bed, telling me he was busy at work and that I should eat cereal for breakfast and get ready for school on my own. I hate cereal. January 9th. Grandma came to get me at school again. She told me to follow her into the hall. I did. She put her hand on my shoulder. "Sweetie," she said, "your mother is gone." I could hardly stand. My eyes were blurry with tears. Grandma grabbed me and pulled me into a firm hug. "I'm sorry, sweetie," she whispered. "I'm so sorry." January 10th. I didn't have a dream last night. That doesn't happen. Not once since my fantasy dreams started. For once, Dad was still home when I woke up. We ate breakfast together. Cereal again. There's no one left who knows about my dreams. This book is now the only record of them outside my own memories. I could tell someone else. Grandma would probably be willing to listen. I could even start calling her to tell her about them every morning, just like I used to do with Mom. I don't think that'd make me feel better, though. Doing that with someone else would just remind me that I couldn't do it with my mom. Dad told me about the funeral. It's going to be short, just a little service at the side of her grave. "Why?" I asked. "What do you mean? Why not a proper funeral?" She wouldn't have wanted to inconvenience everyone like that. I think she would want everyone to have a chance to say goodbye. The service will be enough for that. It won't be, though. At least, it will be less than she deserves. Saying goodbye to her is not an inconvenience. She was the best person in the world, and she deserves to be celebrated. January 12th. Another dreamless night. The funeral is tomorrow. January 13th. The funeral lasted less than half an hour. Dad barely looked sad. I don't think he cares at all. January 14th. I finally had another dream. It was the end of my battle with the Grim Reaper. I fought with everything I had. My spells were tearing up the palace, ripping apart the walls, destroying beautiful, priceless decorations, making chunks of the ceiling rain down. None of that mattered. The only thing that mattered was fighting this monster off. The Queen was counting on me. An ill-timed lunge left the hall to my right wide open. The Reaper rocketed past me towards the Queen's chamber. My eyes went wide. I spun around and thrust at the monster with everything I had. My spear pierced the creature's robe and shattered the base of its spine. It stopped moving. Its head turned all the way around to give me a final hateful glare. Then it crumbled into ash. Relief overtook me. Relief so powerful I couldn't help laughing. I'd done it. I'd saved her. As soon as I regained my composure, I went into the room. Mom was already sitting up on her bed. I ran over and hugged her. "Thank you," she said. "Thank you for saving me." As soon as I was awake, I started crying. Not because I was sad. I wasn't sad. I was happy. Happy that there was a place where I could still see her. January 15th. There was another feast, with increased security, to celebrate the Queen's survival. Both of us were showered with gifts, and all the realm praised me for winning a duel with death himself. January 16th. It was time for the Queen to give me my next mission. Me and Corey met her in the throne room. "Now that the Davites have fallen," the Queen said, "there's one final thing that must be done to ensure that their light is snuffed out forever." She told us about a magical artifact called the Chronicle of Ages. It was an ancient and powerful book, whose magic could rewrite reality, even change the past, to make all your dreams come true. If a surviving Davite got a hold of it, they would be able to rewrite history to undo our conquest of their capital. The book was in the Wanderer's Library, a magical library on a far-off island. We would need to cross the kingdom of Adidum to get to it. That made Corey nervous. The Aditites were bitter enemies of Corey's people. Still, knowing how important this quest was, he agreed to come with me. When I woke up, a burst of excitement overcame me. Finally, another adventure! The dreams of questing were always my favorite. I couldn't wait to tell Mom. Then I remembered. I looked over at my alarm clock. Dad had left a note by my bed again, telling me to get ready for school on my own. I didn't. I just laid back. I closed my eyes and tried to fall back to sleep. I couldn't. January 16th, 2024. Dad chewed me out for skipping school. He didn't find out about it until he checked his phone at the end of the day and saw he'd missed a call from the school's administration. But once he listened to the message they left him, he called me and told me I was grounded for 2 weeks. Fine, I said. He didn't like the tone I said that with, so he added another week for being disrespectful. January 17th. We set off on our adventure last night. Adidam is dangerous. Almost as soon as we crossed the border into their kingdom, we were set upon by strange flying creatures, blood-sucking fusions between humans and bats that zipped through the air to dodge every shot from Corey's mechanical crossbow. I had to use a lightning spell to bring them down. It arced from monster to monster, making them fall to the ground, stunned. I rode Snowflake from man-bat to man-bat, thrusting my spear through each of their hearts. January 18th. Next, we had to cross a patch of land where every living thing had been consumed by a terrible disease that made them look like they'd melted. According to Corey, the Adatites had created the disease as a weapon against their enemies, but it had somehow accidentally been released within their own lands. I cast a spell to keep us from getting infected, but we still had to fight our way through. I slew every single monster in the name of the Queen. Thanks to my grounding, I haven't hung out with Corey since Mom died, but the time I spend with him in my dreams is something Dad can't take away from me. January 19th. Adidam gave us one last battle on our way out of it. In the land's strange forests of flesh, we did battle with a monster whose mouth was half its body. The thing's sticky tongue managed to grab Corey, and it swallowed him. I flipped the thing over by raising a pillar of earth underneath it, then used the tip of my spear to cut the creature's stomach open so I could pull Corey back out. January 19th. As soon as Dad got home from work, he told me he needed to talk to me. "What is it?" I asked, as respectfully as I could. He sat down on the bed. "Harold," he said, "you should know, I've started dating someone." "Just a few weeks after Mom died?" I asked. "Her name is Sarah. I know it's not been very long, but I didn't choose when I would meet her. It happened when it happened. I know you've had a hard time dealing with things, and I've not had enough time to spend with you. Mom can't be replaced. I know, but Sarah's still coming over for dinner tomorrow, whether you like it or not. At least I'm not the only one upset." A few hours later, I happened to walk into the room while he was on the phone with Grandma. She was yelling at the top of her lungs, accusing Dad of having been with this woman since before Mom died. I bet she's right. Dad hasn't given a crap about Mom in years. Why wouldn't he start seeing someone else? January 20th. Our battle with the frog thing behind us. We arrived at a coastal town of fishermen and fleshcrafters. I hope that frog thing was alive by the end of it. Grr. With Corey in disguise, we managed to rent a small ship we could use to sail away to Adidam, toward the island where we'd find the Wanderer's library. January 20th. Sarah came over for dinner. She was an olive-skinned woman with short hair. She was nice at first. She told me she was sorry about my mother's death, and that she was happy to meet me. She said she'd heard a lot about me, how creative and curious I was, and that she hoped our relationship would be fruitful. I'm not sure exactly what she meant by that, but I thanked her anyway. She seemed to have Dad wrapped around her finger. She sat down and directed him to set the table. Dad would never have done that for Mom, but when Sarah told him to do it, he didn't even complain. Sarah did most of the talking once the meal started. Dad was seemingly just there to nod and agree with everything she said. I think I was there for decoration. Neither of them said a word to me until Sarah cut herself off mid-sentence to turn to me and say, "And please do chew with your mouth closed." I said. "Don't raise your voice." I huffed. Sarah found this huff extremely disrespectful. She looked at Dad expectantly, who quickly swallowed the bite of chicken he'd been working on and declared that I was grounded for another week. "Oh, come on," I said. This got me sent straight to my room. I wasn't even allowed to take my food there with me. If this keeps up, I'm going to be grounded for the rest of my life. January 21st. The Wanderer's library sat alone on a sandy island. It was green and yellow, as if its bricks were made of gold studded with emerald. It looked more like a palace than a library. No, not even a palace was made of solid gold. Yeah. Damn, the kid's mom just died, let him grieve. Jesus fucking Christ. Can we adopt this kid and take him away from this dick? I definitely sympathize. Not even a palace was made of solid gold. Luckily, the island had a dock where we could leave our boat. Once we'd secured it, we approached what we thought was the library's front entrance. From afar, it looked like a door made of red stone. Once we reached it, we could see that it wasn't a door at all. It was a section of brick wall. Not old clay or stone brick. Modern red-brown brick, with a single bright red block sprayed its center and most of the word awesome sauce spray painted across the top of it. Even weirder, I'd seen this section of wall before, in an alley next to a game store Mom used to take me to. It's only a few miles away from my house. As I stared at the wall, trying to make sense of how something so real and modern had found its way into my dream world, Corey asked how we were going to get into the library without a door. I started to say that I didn't know, but before I could get the words out, I realized I did know. I didn't know how I knew, but I knew. I stepped up to the wall, knocked on the bright red brick 5 times, and made a strange noise. Corey started to ask what the heck I was doing, but just a second later, we were inside. We didn't walk inside. No door opened. We didn't step forward. We simply found ourselves inside the building, with a similar section of brick on the wall behind us. The building was green and gold on the inside too, and it was impossibly huge. The hall seemed to stretch on forever, both in front of us and above us, with all that infinite space lined with well-stocked bookshelves. Gods, I muttered. This is more than we could possibly search through, Corey said. Maybe we could find a librarian, I asked. After walking around the library for a while, we were able to find what seemed to be a help desk. The thing sitting behind it was a strange mound of feathers and mushrooms with no visible eyes. As soon as he saw it, Corey reached for his crossbow, but I held out my hand to stop him. I asked the thing where we could find the Chronicle of Ages. It extended one of its many wings to point to its left, down the hall. Can you be more specific than that? I asked. The creature just kept pointing. After walking for a long time, we came across a small door embedded in one of the shelves. We went inside. Unlike the handful of other side rooms we'd seen, this room only had a single book, ornate in blue, sitting on a pedestal. Its cover bore a bright red title in a foreign language. I could only presume it said Chronicle of Ages. Standing next to the pedestal was a woman in a long, hooded black robe that obscured her face and hair. She looked straight at us as we entered. "I've been waiting for you, Harold." I went still for a moment. No one in the dream world ever uses my real name. I'm always the warrior prince, or sometimes hero or holy warrior. "Why shouldn't I know your name?" the woman asked as I stared at her. "I'm in your dream, after all." I glanced at Corey, worried about how he might react to the claim that he was in a dream of mine. Corey wasn't reacting, though. He wasn't moving at all. "Corey?" I asked. "He's fine," the woman said. "I just turned him off for a moment. He would only get in the way of the talk we need to have." "Who are you?" She thought about that for a moment. "A queen," she said. "Not your queen, of course. Another one. You wouldn't know my name if I gave it." "What do you want?" I asked. "I need to tell you something very important. Something you must have suspected for some time. I need to help you understand the true nature of this place, of everything you see in your dreams." "What are you talking about?" "It can't be that you never guessed it. At the very least, you must have hoped for it. This world is too large, too detailed to be the product of a single child's dreaming imagination. Admittedly, I have had that thought before. Whatever suspicions you might have had, I am here to confirm them. This whole world in which you've been adventuring for years is real. It is a slice of the past, a picture of the world as it once was, when magic and splendor flowed freely through all the lands of the earth. That's insane, I said. I do not begrudge you thinking so. Fortunately for both of us, there is a way for you to confirm what I say. The place from which you entered, the Wanderer's Library. Did you recognize it? I hesitated. Yes. Go to that alley. Knock on the lone bright red brick, just as you did here, and you will find yourself in the Wanderer's Library. I stared at her. This was ridiculous. Completely and utterly insane. Beyond anything that could ever be possible. Sure, my dreams are strange. I've never been able to find another example of someone's dreams telling them continuing stories night after night for years on end. But that doesn't mean it's possible for magic to be real. I didn't have the opportunity to say that, though, because just after the woman finished talking, the dream ended. January 21st. As soon as I got home from school today, I came up to my room to look through my journal. I don't know exactly what I was looking for. I guess something that would help me make sense of what that hooded woman said. I read through the whole journal several times and tried to remember everything I could about the dreams I had before Mom gave it to me. I was there for hours, so long that I was still reading when Dad got home. He opened the door. His appearance was so sudden that it made me jump. "Hello," he said. "Hi," I said. "Sarah's coming over for dinner again tomorrow," I said. Or he said. "Okay," I said, as flatly as possible. He nodded. He was just about to leave when his gaze shifted to my hands. "What's that book you're holding?" he asked. "I've seen you with it a lot." My dream journal?" I told him, my mind racing to try to figure out why he would care. He walked over to me, he held his hand out. Reluctantly, I handed him the book. He started flipping through it. "So these are dreams you've had?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. "I write them down because sometimes Mom is in them." That made him think for a moment. "Are you sure that's healthy?" he asked. "Why wouldn't it be? Clinging to the past can be a bad idea. At worst, it could be a form of denial. Sometimes something horrible still needs to be accepted. Please don't take it away," I said. "It was Mom's gift for my last birthday. It's the last thing she ever gave me." He looked down at me. After a moment, he handed the book back. "All right then, you can keep it," he said. "Thank you. But if your behavior doesn't get better than it's been these past few weeks, that might change." "What?" "Behave yourself, and it won't be a problem." I thought of complaining, but I know from experience that Dad considers that to be misbehavior, so I was silent as he left the room. As soon as he shut the door, I looked over at the window. The alley I saw in my dream is within walking distance of my house. I could go there, but I can't do that while Dad's here. If he gets it into his head that the journal made me sneak out, he'll definitely take it away from me. I'm gonna hide this journal. I think there's a place in my room where it'll be safe. I won't say where in case he somehow ends up reading this. Jesus fucking Christ, this man. I know. January 23rd. The dreams are gone again. As if there weren't enough else wrong with my life. I still have weeks of grounding left. I've barely spoken to Corey. Tomorrow is Saturday. Dad is going to be at work all day. If I'm going to go to that alley, if I'm going to test what that woman said, tomorrow will be the easiest time to sneak out. January 24th. Dad was already gone when I woke up. I left out the front door, locking it behind me with a spare house key. I walked to the alley from my dream and approached the single bright red brick at the center of the wall. I made sure no one was watching me, and I knocked on it 5 times and made the same noise I had in my dream. It worked. I don't understand how. It's impossible. I know it's impossible. Nothing like this could be real. Maybe it's not real. Maybe I'm just going insane. I don't know. All I can say is what I saw. I found myself in a library. Not quite the same library from my dream. The ceiling wasn't infinitely high, though it was way higher than the building I'd knocked on. Every wall was covered in well-stocked wooden bookshelves. There were all kinds of books there. Long books, short books, black books, red books, old yellow books, brand new bright white books, hardcover books, notebooks, diaries, textbooks, novels, newspapers, magazines, and guidebooks. There were creatures crawling on the shelves. Weird, skinny creatures, each using several legs to climb around the shelves. No two of them looked quite the same. One was a bird, one was a rodent, one was a cross between a spider and an octopus. In my dream, I had gotten to the Chronicle of Ages by going straight for several hours until I found the room it was in. I decided I'd do the same thing here. Even if I didn't find the Chronicle, I figured that as long as I kept going straight, I couldn't get lost. Maybe it's wrong to call the path I took straight. I didn't turn any corners where I could help it, but the path I was on curved, twisted, rose, and fell. There was one place where the hall seemed to turn on its side. I thought for a moment that this was going to force me to start walking on the bookshelves, but as the floor curved, gravity curved with it, and I found myself walking comfortably on the sideways floor. About an hour into my trek, I found a lounge. There were a handful of people there. Some of them looked normal, some of them really, really didn't. On the far side of the room, a man with bright blue skin conversed with a giant bird who held a small white book in its wingtips. I couldn't help but stare until the bird thing looked back at me. I turned away and hurried toward the opposite hall. Before I could make it, someone approached me. Not a monster, thank God. Just a woman with long black hair. I stopped walking. "Can I help you?" I asked. "Are you alone here?" she asked. I wondered for a moment if I should admit that I was, but there was no point in lying. Anyone could see that there was no one else with me. "Yeah," I said. "You're awfully young to be here alone," she said. "Why does it matter?" I asked. "Is this place dangerous?" She tilted her head. "This place?" she asked. "Please tell me you at least know where you are." It took me a second to remember what this place was called, but when I did, I put all the confidence I could muster into saying, "I'm in the Wanderer's Library." "Good," she said. "As for whether the library is dangerous, it depends on if you follow the rules. As long as you do, it's the safest place in the multiverse. If you don't, you'll be lucky if you ever leave again." She went on to explain what the rules are. Don't fight anyone else, don't damage any books, always return them on time. I assured her that I would obey all those rules. She started to walk away, but I told her I had one more question. I asked her if she knew anything about the Chronicle of Ages, or where I could find it. She said she had never heard of it before. After that, I continued down the hall. I tried very hard not to stare at anyone else, no matter how strange they looked. The only other gathering of people I encountered was a small crowd that was waiting for an enormous slimy worm to finish crawling across the hallway I needed to pass through. I wish I'd thought to bring some water. Walking for hours and hours is a lot more tiring when it's not part of a dream. There were bathrooms, thankfully, and I was able to get some from their sinks. I pushed forward and eventually, finally, I reached the room containing the Chronicle of Ages. Like the rest of the library, it looked different than it had in my dream. It was a normal door, rather than a bit of bookshelf that swung open. There was a sign posted outside it. No books or liquids may be brought into this room. A strange rule, but I didn't have any books or liquids with me, so I went inside. In my dream, the room with the Chronicle had been so dark you couldn't have actually read inside it. This room was lit brightly. It was narrower than the one in my dream, and a lot longer. I had to walk another 100 feet or so to get to the pedestal with the book on it. The pedestal was taller, made of stone instead of wood, and the Chronicle was attached to it by a thick chain. I opened the book. As soon as my eyes met its pages, I felt a powerful urge to read it cover to cover, right then and there. For some reason, I was completely sure that it would be the most interesting thing I've ever read. I had to resist the urge, though. The book was hundreds of pages long. It would have taken me hours to read it, and I didn't have time to do that and walk all the way back home before Dad noticed I was gone. I had to settle for skimming the book. Fortunately, it had plenty of illustrations. As I went through it, making note of those illustrations, and of the bits of it here and there that I read, I realized that this book was about the world in my dreams. Sketched onto those pages, I saw the seven-pointed star of the Ordithan Kingdom, the crest of the Davite Empire, the banner of Addidum, an artist's rendition of my great battle with the Davites walking trees. There was a passage about the Fey folk, another about the great sea serpent, still another about the immortal dragon who always seemed to slip away before I could finish him off. And at the end of the book, the final defeat of the Davite Empire. Does that mean that what the woman said was true? That I've been dreaming about the past? Drink? This is a full-on tale we've stumbled into. Okay, this man needs to have CPS called on him. I think I'm in agreement. January 29th. Dad came into my room after he got home from work yesterday. I was on my bed, reading a history book I'd borrowed from the school library, trying to find more evidence that the Davites or Ordithans might have been real. Sarah and I had a talk about that journal of yours, Dad said. I looked up at him. What about it? I asked. Sarah doesn't think it's a good idea for you to cling to the past like that. You need to accept what's gone and move on. We won't throw the book away, but it's going up in the attic for a while. Where is it? I already got rid of it. He clearly hadn't expected to hear that. I realized you were right, I continued. I need to move on. Besides, I'm too old for fairy tales. I held up the book I was holding. That's why I'm reading a history book now, about things that really happened. I threw the dream journal away. You can look around for yourself if you don't believe me. He did. He looked all over my bookshelf and my bedside table. He looked under my bed and my pillow. He dug through every drawer and looked behind everything he could move. For a few minutes, he was dangerously close to my hiding place, but he wasn't quite clever enough to find it. Looks like you're telling the truth, he said. He smiled. I can't remember the last time I saw him smile. Getting rid of that book on your own was very mature. I'm proud of you. I smiled back. Thanks, I said. He left. I lucked out today, but I'm not going to be able to keep this journal hidden forever. It's still in my room. If I keep taking it out to write in it, he's eventually going to see me with it again. When he does, he'll take it away, and my last connection to the world of my dreams, to Mom, will be gone. January 30th. Oh, fuck off this man. It wasn't mature, you emotionally stunted asshole. Yeah. January 30th. I finally had another dream. I was in the same room as before, the dream version of the Wanderer's Library, the hooded woman in the Chronicle of Ages. Corey was still frozen next to me. I believe you've been to the Wanderer's Library, the woman asked. How do you know that? I asked. Never mind that. The important thing is, you've seen that everything I said was true. I hesitated. It looked real, I said. Very good. Now, with that established, who are you really? I asked. Her face shifted to a slight frown. I told you. I am a queen. You know that's not a real answer. But it is the answer you will receive. How are you talking to me in my dreams? You've seen that magic is real. How do you think I'm doing it? I studied her. There was something familiar about her, but I couldn't place it. Her face was hidden by her hood and the dim light of this room. The library looked a little different in real life, I said. But the blue book that was on its own in a huge room, that was the Chronicle of Ages, right? She nodded. Can the Chronicle of Ages really make all your dreams come true? She smiled. Yes, it can. Then I hesitated again. Could I use it to make my dreams come true? These dreams where I'm in this land full of magic and adventure, where my mom is still the queen, is still alive? The woman's face lit up, just like Mom's used to when I told her about my dreams. "You are a very clever boy," she said. "I was just about to bring up that very subject." She gestured at the Chronicle of Ages. "This book, this glorious book, does indeed have that power to rewrite the world, to bring back the magic and adventure that it has lost, to take this wonderful past and drag it forward into the present." "How?" I asked. "How do I make it happen?" "It's not difficult. The Chronicle has the power to write itself. The only thing it cannot do is supply its own ink. Give it something to write with, any dark fluid you can find, and it will do the rest. You will emerge from the library to find your world rewritten, your dreams made real. You shall be a hero, a warrior prince. You will be able to see your best friend, and your mother's reign shall continue." It seemed too good to be true, but why shouldn't it be true? If that library and all the fantastical creatures I saw in it could exist, why shouldn't there be a book that could make all your dreams come true? There was a problem, though. "I can't bring any ink to the book," I said. "In the library, the real one, there's a sign outside this room that says you can't bring liquids into it. I don't think I should disobey that. I've been told that breaking the library's rules is very dangerous." "It is," she admitted. "The library is not to be trifled with." She thought for a moment. "There is, of course, one liquid that cannot stop you from bringing into the room." "What are you talking about?" "It's nothing you haven't done before. Magic in this world often comes at one particular price." I started to ask her what she meant, but then I realized. There's something about my dreams that I've been leaving out of this journal, something even Mom never knew. Ordithan magic, the whole Ordithan religion, is full of blood. We give blood offerings to our gods, only small amounts, from willing donors. Usually it's a gift to empower the gods to protect the world, but sometimes the offerings are payments, given in exchange for miracles. That's how I cast many of my most powerful spells. It's how I summoned lightning to take down those bats, and how I opened that giant pit underneath the Davite's moving tree. "How much blood will the book take?" I asked. "No more than you give in your offerings." "And in exchange for that, I can have my mother back?" "Yes, you can." I looked at her. I still couldn't make out her face, her eyes. All I could see was that she was smiling. "I understand that this is a lot to take in," she said. "You can take some time to think it over." "I don't need time," I said. "I'm gonna do it." Somehow her smile grew even wider. "Excellent," she said. "Make your way to the library as soon as you can. Give the Chronicle of Ages an offering, and it will rewrite the world." With that, the woman vanished. Just a moment later, Corey started moving again. I looked over at him. He looked back. "What's wrong?" he asked. "Did you see something strange?" "No," I said. "Nothing." I walked up to the pedestal. The Chronicle of Ages wasn't chained to it. I took the book, walked the long path back out of the library, and used my magic to return to my mother's throne room. Mom stood as soon as she saw that I'd appeared. Her gaze was warm, loving. I ran up to her and hugged her. She hugged me back. I held her tight. I cried. "What's wrong?" she asked. "Nothing. Nothing's wrong." She smiled. "I'm happy to see you too," she said. "You've come through for me again, my warrior prince, as you always shall." January 31st. It's Wednesday, a school day. I don't care. After what I'm going to do today, I'll never have to go to school again. I'm gonna do it. I've grabbed a steak knife from the kitchen and the big water bottle Dad used to take on his morning walks. I'm going to go back to the library, give the Chronicle an offering, and change the world. I'm taking the journal with me, too. I won't break the rules by taking it inside the room, but I want to keep it close. I don't want the Chronicle of Ages to erase it when it changes the world. I can't wait to see Mom again. Shortly after composing this document, SCP-8410 appears to have approached the Wanderer's Library's copy of SCP-140 and lacerated itself. This resulted in a CK-class reality restructuring event, which, in accordance with SCP-140's usual properties, altered the past to prevent the destruction of the Davite Empire, resulting in its persistence into the modern day. Due to being located inside the Wanderer's Library when Incident CK-140 occurred, SCP-8410 was unaffected by it, and did not become aware of its true nature until informed during its interrogation. Addendum 8410-1. SCP-8410's biological father has been located living within Imperial territory serving as a consort for the Deva Viha Saroa. Records indicate that SCP-8410 was purchased along with its parents on December 11, 2023, but that its mother was sacrificed shortly thereafter as part of the Saroa estate's celebration of the Davite Festival of Renewal. Addendum 8410-2. Dr. Green's request that SCP-8410 be permitted humanitarian access to amnestic treatment has been denied on the grounds of SCP-8410's potential value as an intelligence asset. Whew! One hell of a story. It wasn't so much an article. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that was kind of like the summation of SCP-140's capabilities, where it's like, yeah, you can rewrite the past, but, like, kind of its secret underlying function is that anytime you do, you know, the old Davite Empire creeps ever closer to present day. And this seems to be a scenario where it actually reached present day. So... Oopsies! Yeah, damn. Whew, my mouth. Starting to run out of coffee. Alright. Well, with that big body of work taken care of, let's see. I could probably take a few shorter articles before I wrap up for tonight. Ooh. I recognize that art style. Yeah. Yeah, let's take it. SCP-5339. Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-5339 is contained within a vertically extended humanoid containment cell decorated with the personal possessions of Mickey Idemi. All meals given to SCP-5339 must consist of soft semi-solids such as applesauce, watermelon slices, or jam. SCP-5339 is to be given weekly English and ASL lessons on a rotational shift basis by selected researchers. A prerequisite for selection is that SCP-5339 appears to have a positive emotional connection to the researcher. Description: SCP-5339 is a 3-meter-tall tripodal organism whose cranium features a pair of 6-centimeter-wide eyes and a mouth used for mastication and crude vocalization. SCP-5339 has 3 legs which are spaced equidistantly from one another. Despite this, SCP-5339 has difficulty remaining stable for more than 15 seconds. Discovery: on March 12, 2013, Hannah Idemi gave birth to a child, Mickey Idemi, who had developed an accessory arm underneath his left pectoral during the late stages of Mrs. Idemi's pregnancy. Mickey Idemi was born in the St. Raymond Non-Natives Hospital with expected complications, although Mickey and Hannah Idemi both recovered within a reasonable time period. 1 year after Mickey Idemi's birth, he disappeared due to unknown circumstances, while on vacation with Mrs. Idemi. Upon returning to her place of residence, Mrs. Idemi located SCP-5339 in Mickey Idemi's room. Test log 5339-1 on March 12, 2014, a year later. In order to determine how SCP-5339 relates to Mickey Idemi, a variety of tests were conducted. Object 2, Object 3, and their results. So, 1 cubic meter of grass, 1 cubic meter of assorted bovine flesh. SCP-5339 appears uninterested in the grass and sniffs the flesh before emitting a loud vocalization and retreating to the corner of its containment unit. Mickey Idemi's blanket, nearly severed for unknown reasons, and an undamaged blanket. SCP-5339 moves towards the nearly torn blanket and successfully tears it down the center with one of its legs and its jaw. SCP-5339 places one half of the blanket over its head and the other half underneath itself. A framed photograph of Hannah Idemi, a tattered photograph of Will Idemi, Mrs. Idemi's husband who expired 1 year previously. SCP-5339 approaches Will Idemi's photograph with apparent interest. SCP-5339 grunts and moves to Mrs. Idemi's photo. At the end of the test, SCP-5339 resisted the research staff who had attempted to remove Mrs. Idemi's photo and slid the photo around the cell until a researcher grabbed SCP-5339's leg to allow another researcher to retrieve the photo. A photograph of Mickey Idemi and a photograph of SCP-5339. SCP-5339 pauses momentarily and then moves towards the image of Mickey Idemi. SCP-5339 lowers its head and pushes the image of Mickey Idemi with its snout. Addendum 5339-2, same date. Dr. Green was instructed to retrieve certain objects from SCP-5339's containment cell once testing had concluded. While Dr. Green attempted to retrieve the cubic meter of assorted bovine flesh, SCP-5339 moved behind them and produced a vocalization similar to that of a child in distress. Dr. Green questioned SCP-5339, who paused and then addressed Dr. Green as Ma. It is unknown whether or not SCP-5339 has awareness of what its vocalizations allude to. Further research is to commence. Test log 5339-1, March 15th, 2014, all the way until July 18th, 2016. SCP-5339's potential for sapient thought can be currently approximated to that of a 1-year-old child. To improve SCP-5339's vocabulary and speech, weekly English lessons are implemented into SCP-5339's containment procedures. Lesson plans have been designed with the assistance of ASL and other nonverbal speech therapy methods. Please note that the following table only consists of notable lessons where SCP-5339 showed noticeable improvement. So we have the lessons and their results. The research staff joined SCP-5339 for a short period of time in its containment cell, while being monitored by several Foundation security guards. Staff were instructed to assume a semi-formal disposition and verbally communicate frequently with one another. SCP-5339 began emitting several vocalizations that research staff believed sounded significantly like mom, drink, toy, and food. Research staff allowed SCP-5339 to play with a beach ball for 5 minutes before retrieving the ball and waiting to see if it requested for the ball to be given back. SCP-5339 played with the ball for the entire allotted period of time. When the ball was retrieved, it showed signs of distress and attempted to kick it out of Dr. Green's hands. Eventually, SCP-5339 said, "Give ball," where they then were allowed the ball for the remainder of the day. Research staff requested a brief recreational meeting with SCP-5339 in its containment cell. SCP-5339 was given a cup of applesauce, while the rest of the staff were given coffee. SCP-5339 learned the words sauce, cup, person, and friend. Research staff placed several objects inside of SCP-5339's containment cell that it has not learned the name of. Research staff hope that it may attempt to expand its own vocabulary by creating compound words. SCP-5339 vocalized the phrases long animal to indicate a stuffed snake, talk metal to indicate a speaker, and bad water to indicate an image of an ocean. Addendum 5339-2, July 22, 2016. During a private meeting with Dr. Green, SCP-5339 vocalized their first complete sentence. After several indistinguishable grunts, SCP-5339 said, "Mommy, the water's too deep." Dr. Green promptly exited the containment cell, and SCP-5339 was provided with their beach ball and an additional serving of semi-solids. Oh dear. But yeah, I'm pretty sure this image comes from Trevor Henderson. It looks like something he made. The rating of 156. Not too shabby. You know what could have prevented this? The dad not being a dick and letting the kid go through the grieving process. Exactly. But yeah, this definitely looks like Trevor Henderson. In which case, I don't think he minds. I think there's only like a select number of monsters that like he would prefer aren't used for anything else. Probably because they have their own lore and such. But there's a number of like his more miscellaneous creations where he kind of lets people do what they want with them, which is pretty dang nice. Oh wait, I don't want to go back, I want to go to random. SCP-1433, we're back with Generation 2. Rating of 148. Nice. SCP-1433. Object class, safe. Okay. Yeah, this is relatively short. Special containment procedures. A single copy of SCP-1433 is to be kept in a fireproof safe in the archive room at Site-72. Unsecured devices for the use of playing back audio cassettes are not to be allowed on site. No personnel are to listen to SCP-1433, except for D-Class assigned for testing purposes. All such tests shall be conducted in a fully soundproofed chamber. We got another auditory one. Description: SCP-1433 is a recording of an unknown artist performing 4'33", an avant-garde musical piece originally composed in 1952 by musician John Cage. The sole known copy of SCP-1433 is currently contained on an audio cassette of the type widely manufactured in the 1980s. The recording is present on both sides of the cassette. Once placed into any device capable of playing back sound from a cassette and playback is started, the recording will play in its entirety at a constant volume of 30 decibels, regardless of the original volume setting of the device. Attempts to stop playback of SCP-1433 by stopping or pausing the player, or by removing its power source, have been unsuccessful. Only disconnecting the playback device from the audio output has proven successful. All copies made of SCP-1433 display the same anomalous properties as the cassette recording, regardless of the storage medium used. As with the original version of 4'33", the recording begins with the sound of the performer seating his or herself at a piano bench and closing the lid. After 33 seconds, which the performer times on a stopwatch, the lid is opened and then closed again. This motion is repeated after another 2 minutes and 40 seconds. 1 minute and 20 seconds after that, the The performer opens the lid a final time, stands up, and walks away. All other sounds on the recording consist of the performer breathing and turning through pages of sheet music, and of incidental sounds presumably made by an audience. EEG readouts of persons listening to SCP-1433 demonstrate evidence of atypical electrical activity commonly associated with anterograde amnesia and musical agnosia. Persons listening to SCP-1433 report hearing a low male voice speak briefly after the second opening and closing of the piano lid. Acoustic analysis of SCP-1433 has failed to identify this voice on the original recording. Descriptions of what the voice is saying are inconsistent, and few exposed have reported hearing the same statement. All persons exposed to SCP-1433 report that the voice is male and speaks a single sentence in English, typically of a nihilist sentiment, and typically referencing 20th to 21st century English language popular music. Statements reported to have been made by the voice include, "The words of the prophets are written on the subway walls," "I don't believe in the Beatles," "It's better to burn out than to fade away," "There is no dark side of the moon, really. Matter of fact, it's all dark," "Not a word was spoken, the church bells all were broken," "It's all been done, it's all been done, it's all been done before," and "Are we cool yet?" Oh, I know the significance of that phrase. Following exposure to SCP-1433, subjects display symptoms of psychological impairment similar to acute amusia. The individual is completely unable to recognize, hear, or sense any form of rhythmic music, whether sung, vocalized, performed live on physical or synthesized instruments, or played back on a recording. Affectees have stated a complete inability to hear any music being played or performed in their presence, even when an instrument is being played in their field of vision, and they state an awareness that it should be audible. EEG readouts on persons so affected show an absence of brain activity indicating the sensation of auditory activity. This state is permanent and has shown no indications of being affected by amnestics. Aside from chronic psychological ailments induced by the inability to experience music, no other long-term effects of exposure to SCP-1433 have been noted. Addendum. On blank blank 2000 blank, a test was conducted in which D85702, a Caucasian male 67 years of age, was exposed to SCP-1433. In following tests, D85702 reported that he was still able to hear music of the hip-hop genre when played back to him. In subsequent interviews, D85702 expressed a strong distaste for hip-hop and rap music, stating that it was just a bunch of damn noise and doesn't even count as real music, and that he was unable to hear elements of such songs that had been sampled from pre-existing material of other genres. It is currently hypothesized that the amusia induced by exposure to SCP-1433 is related to the affectee's personal understanding of what constitutes music. Further testing is deemed necessary to confirm this hypothesis. But yeah, are we cool yet? That's another group of interest. It's all about using anomalous phenomena and objects for the sake of art! Okay. Yeah, I can definitely feel my mouth and throat starting to go. So, depending on how long the next one is, it'll probably be the last one for tonight. Okay. This one's not too terribly long. Okay. I'll expand them as necessary. SCP-3016, Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. Note: by order of the Deputy Site Director, the above containment procedures have been discontinued. Until such time as it is safe for them to be reinstated, the temporary measures outlined below are to be utilized instead. Okay, so the standard procedures are: SCP-3016 must be stored within a vacuumized containment chamber that has been fitted with an array of permanent magnets capable of holding the object stationary in space and out of contact with any solid surfaces. 2 electronically actuated clamps must be installed to be used as brakes with the aim of limiting the rotational velocity of SCP-3016 to 500 RPM. This brake must be inspected at least once per week and replaced as needed. The second clamp is to be used to limit the motion of SCP-3016 while the primary brake is undergoing maintenance. These clamps must be connected to a backup battery, capable of maintaining the operation of the clamping mechanism for at least 24 hours without power from the site's main generator. And then the temporary measures. SCP-3016 has rendered Level 7 of Site-55 uninhabitable due to extreme heat. As a temporary containment measure, all doors to Level 7 have been closed off, all elevators have been programmed to avoid stopping at the affected level, and thermal insulation has been applied to any essential stairwells passing through. All ventilation shafts connected to Level 7 must be redirected to lead outside the compound in an attempt to release the generated heat. Research into a means of re-establishing original containment is ongoing. Description: SCP-3016 is a highly polished spinning top, appearing to be made of steel or iron due to its magnetic properties, that experiences rotational acceleration with no known force acting upon it. This acceleration varies wildly from 0.5 rads per square inch to redacted with no recognized patterns. The source of this required kinetic energy for this to take place is unknown. SCP-3016 displays incredible durability, and while materials testing has been limited, the object has yet to receive even minor abrasion. Long-term application of a speed-limiting clamp has yet to damage SCP-3016 at all, despite the need for the clamp to be replaced blank times since recovery. While SCP-3016 can be picked up and held immobile, it will continue to exert a torque on anything holding it in place. This torque, like the object's usual acceleration, varies wildly, and has been known to cause damage to any agent resisting it. Because of this, SCP-3016 can only be restrained for short periods of time. Addendum 1. Site-55 Containment Breach. At 0855 on blank 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 date, 8 of Site-55's Keter-class entities were able to breach containment, causing a failure of both primary and backup generators throughout the facility and resulting in the loss of blank personnel. While power was disabled, both the primary and secondary brakes restraining SCP-3016 shut down, and the object was able to accelerate uncontrollably for several hours. Upon the successful restoration of power to the facility, all escaped entities, save SCP-blank, had been recontained with minimal further casualties. During the outage, all telemetry on SCP-3016 was lost. A maintenance unit consisting of 2 personnel is sent to look into the feasibility of restoring full containment. It is to be noted that due to the variable acceleration of SCP-3016, its rotational velocity at this point in time is unknown. Both personnel arrive at the SCP-3016 containment chamber and reported that containment was stable, although not intact. The object was at this time suspended in space by the magnets, and it remained within a vacuum, but both clamps melted upon being engaged. Shortly after, SCP-blank was sighted on Level 7, and both personnel donned vacuum suits and attempted to take refuge within the SCP-3016 containment chamber. SCP-blank was able to detect the personnel, however, and managed to breach the vacuumized unit. The resulting implosion resulted in the destruction of much of the chamber itself, as well as the loss of both maintenance personnel and the apparent termination of SCP-blank. Addendum 2. SCP-3016 Post-Breach Investigation. At the time of the explosive decompression of the SCP-3016 containment chamber, the object had already reached an unknown but dangerously high rotational velocity. Within 5 minutes of the collapse, the ambient temperature within Level 7 had risen by 10 degrees Celsius and continued to rise from that point. The temporary containment procedures listed above were put into place within 5 hours of the final breach. 3 members of MTF Beta 7, codename Maz Hatters, were called in to examine the affected floor in greater detail. This team was supervised directly by Site Director Jacob Cole. And this is the audio log. Command, this is Alpha. We're on Level 7, just in front of the installation. Acknowledged. Sound off. Alpha, check. Bravo, check. Delta, check. You got any idea what it's like in there, Command? We know it's hot in there, but not much else. CCTV and about all other sensors melted a while ago. Acknowledged, Command. Proceeding on your orders. Beta 7, you may proceed. We're moving into the red zone now. I'm reading over 200 degrees centigrade, Command. You may have a bit of a problem. And still climbing, but pretty slowly. It's a bit hotter over that way. Guess we know that skip's still where it's supposed to be. Beta 7 personnel move for several minutes, following the temperature gradient to its source. As they approach, a reddish glow is visible down one of the corridors. We have visual on the skip, Command. More or less. Yeah, that's some intense black body radiation. 3016 must be spinning pretty quick to do that. We're actually getting pretty close to the heat tolerances on these suits. I read 400 Celsius. We're still pretty good for a while, Delta. They can take a little past 500 before they start to break down. Hang on a second, is that... Looks like it. Command, we've got positive confirmation that SCP blank has been neutralized. Wow, charred to the bone. Don't see that every day. Which means that over there must be what's left of the chamber. Jesus, that's bright. Command, this skip has managed to heat the air by quite a bit. My thermometer reads... Wow, it's, melted, actually. We should probably head out pretty soon. Beta 7, get out of there. Delta's right. Hold up a second. You all read the old procedures for 3016? Of course we did. Didn't they say something about a backup battery? I'm not seeing one. Beta 7, return to base now. Just one more thing, Command. The battery should be right about there. But there's just an empty floor. Beta 7, get out of there. That's an order. Acknowledged. We've seen about all there is to see here. We're on our way out. End log. After the Beta 7 team described the observed lax containment procedures in their final report, the Ethics Committee conducted a full investigation. After confirming that special containment procedures had not been correctly followed, it was also discovered that several additional safe and Euclid-class objects had been contained improperly. The Ethics Committee requested an audit of the financial records of Site-55 and discovered that a portion of the funds allocated for containment were unaccounted for. A further investigation recovered paperwork implicating Site Director Jacob Cole, who later confessed to embezzling Foundation resources for personal gain. Director Cole was immediately removed from office, amnesticized, and released into life as a civilian with no memory of his career with the Foundation. Research into a means of restoring containment to SCP-3016 is ongoing. CCTV capability on Level 7 has yet to be re-established. It's a Beyblade. A Beyblade that breaks physics.
Hi, Binky. Can't be another Fweg stream. It is.
I always try to stream on Fridays.
Haunts. Rat. Izzy is definitely cutie class. Nah, shucks.
Okay. Rating a 136. I'm a little bit curious what SCP I would have gotten next if I decided not to continue. Or if I decided to continue. And apparently it's a flower. I think I might read that on my own. But for right now, I have to end stream now. My voice is... it's looking a bit, like... it's not really as hot, but it definitely feels about as dry as, like, a New Mexico desert. So I think now is probably the best time to cut it off. Would you say it's a little froggy? Thank you, I needed that. Thank you, Jay, for the trifecta. I only have like a single sip of coffee anyway. Hopefully there's still more on the pot, though. Alrighty, lily pals. I'll see about, streaming later next week. It's getting towards the end of the month, and we're inching ever closer to about the time where I'm gonna have to start working into moving into my new place. Looking into moving. I feel like there is still a lot of stuff I need to pack up. Yeah, and then I'll probably cue a little break in my streams while everything gets set up. Don't know quite how long I'll be out of commission for. Hopefully not long. Maybe just within like a week, maybe 2. Yeah. It's definitely gonna be an interesting change. And honestly, I pray to Frog that internet will be about as cooperative as it is right now. I gotta cross my little froggy fingies. Anywho, that's been Skips for tonight. Please don't be hopping those lily pads too hard. No promises. I actually heard that the new place actually has a lot of froggies already neighboring around. I gotta introduce myself. And of course my big sister is also in the know. I've been sending her little texts. Still not sure when she'll come back. Haven't heard anything just yet, but of course I will let you all lily pals know. Because I can imagine proper Issy is probably missed by some of y'alls, even if you won't admit it. Anywho, I don't want to talk anymore, so I'm gonna plug my socials. That is the wrong key. So I'm on Tumblr, co-host, Mastodon, and then, nah, we'll just do the usual raid messages. For my enchanted lily pals and for my regular lily pals. Okie doke. Okay, I want to move this going to take a look at who is available for raid. Yes, yes, yes. And again, I will plan to stream on Monday, but no promises. You know, anything can happen. Because of course the moving period is real soon. Let's see. It kind of feels like there are fewer people that are alive right now as opposed to last night. Maybe it's just me. Molotov Cocktail is playing Dwarf Fortress, so it's tempting, but I know. We rated her not last stream, but the stream before. Seems a bit too soon. Ooh, I got the hiccups. How's about... How's about... How's about Dr. Toto Hex, who is currently playing Paper Mario, Thousand Year Door. I'm not sure if it's the remake, because I think the remake like just came out. Yes, we will be rating them. Make sure I do the correct command. Dr. Toto Hex. I had a bit of a brain fart there. Alright. You can count on... I'm gonna try for next Monday. So whatever I get up to. You know, it seems quite likely it could very well turn out to be my last stream before the move. Possibly. But you never know. Yeah. If that doesn't shake out, I will see you all whenever I see you next, Lily Pals. I will keep you all informed on Twitter and also Tumblr. Yes, yes. But thank you for hanging out as I read a bunch of forbidden knowledge to you, Lily Pals. Do with it as you will. Commit the chaos if you so desire. But make sure to tell me about it afterwards. It could make a good story. Alright, I will see you all next time, Lily Pals, whenever that will be. Thanks for hanging out. Have a good time zone. Take care of yourselves. Oh, yes, Remy.